Welcome to Mr. Sleepy Stories. Tonight, we'll speak softly about elephants, the gentle giants who walk with patience, memory, and grace. Their world moves at the pace of calm rivers and warm winds, where every sound, scent, and step carries quiet wisdom. Together, we'll drift through their peaceful lives, one soothing fact at a time. If you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, and share your experience with this video topic in the comments below. I love reading your stories and hearing how these calm facts help you unwind before sleep. There's a quiet moment in the wild that few people ever see. An elephant wanders to a still pond after a long walk through the dry grasslands. The air is warm, the trees are silent, and the surface of the water is smooth as glass. When the elephant leans forward to drink, it pauses, staring at the faint image staring back. Then, softly, it reaches out with its trunk and touches the reflection, almost as if greeting an old friend. Scientists call this mirror self-recognition, and it's something only a handful of animals have ever shown: dolphins, great apes, magpies, and elephants. It means the elephant understands that the face in the water isn't another animal. It's them. This simple act, noticing yourself, is a window into one of the most mysterious things in nature: consciousness. When researchers placed large mirrors in elephant sanctuaries, something remarkable happened. Some elephants used the mirrors to explore parts of their bodies they couldn't usually see. One female, named Happy, even touched a mark on her head, realizing it was on her, not the glass. There was no aggression, no confusion, just quiet curiosity. It's as if they were saying, "That's me. I exist." To understand how rare that is, think about what the mirror means to us. For humans, it's almost ordinary. But in the natural world, recognizing yourself requires awareness, memory, and emotion, the ability to look inward. Elephants seem to have that gentle wisdom. They mourn, they play, they comfort one another, and they seem to know who they are. Maybe that's why watching them feels peaceful. They move with purpose, never rushing, always aware. Even when they gaze into a pond, there's a patience that feels almost human, or maybe more than human. When the water ripples, the reflection disappears, but the elephant doesn't panic. It just waits for the image to return, as if trusting the world will calm again. Some nights in the savannah, elephants gather near quiet pools to drink under the moonlight. The silver glow turns the water into mirrors once more. You can almost imagine them looking down and seeing not just themselves, but generations before them, the faces of memory, of wisdom, of calm strength. It's strange and beautiful that the largest land animals on Earth are also among the most introspective. In a way, their reflections in the water aren't just about sight. They're about knowing who they are, knowing they belong to the earth, and perhaps knowing that peace can be found simply by standing still beside a quiet pond. If you've ever watched a baby elephant up close, there's a sweetness that can melt even the hardest heart. Their ears are too big for their heads, their steps uncertain, and their trunks long, clumsy, and endlessly curious. In those early months when everything in the world feels new and a little overwhelming, baby elephants often do something deeply familiar. They suck their trunks. It's a gesture so human, it feels impossible not to smile. Just as a baby might suck their thumb when they're tired, nervous, or simply finding comfort, a young elephant curls the tip of its trunk gently into its mouth and hums softly through its nose. It's their way of saying, "I'm safe. I'm home." At birth, an elephant's trunk is still learning what it's for. It's part nose, part hand, part voice, a masterpiece of evolution with over 40,000 muscles. But for a newborn calf, it's more of a mystery. They trip over it, twist it, even accidentally step on it. So in those quiet hours between feeding and playing, they discover that sucking it makes them feel calm, just as it did when they were still in the womb, listening to the low heartbeat of their mother echo through the water and the earth. Mothers and aunties in the herd keep watch, forming a gentle wall around the babies. You'll often see the little ones nestled between towering legs, trunk in mouth, eyes half closed, as the family hums their soft, infrasonic songs. The vibrations travel through the ground, lullabies in frequencies too low for human ears to hear. Each note says, "You are safe. You are loved." As they grow, the habit fades. Their trunks become instruments of strength and grace, able to lift trees, trumpet warnings, or pluck a single blade of grass. But for a few tender months, before they learn the language of adulthood, their trunk is something simpler, a comfort blanket, a heartbeat they can hold. There's a quiet beauty in that image, an animal so mighty, starting life in such innocence. In a world full of giants, it's easy to forget that even the largest hearts begin small, unsure, and in need of warmth. Watching a baby elephant sucking its trunk under the shade of its mother feels like watching the very essence of peace, soft, slow, and utterly timeless. It reminds us that comfort doesn't belong to one species. Whether it's a child clutching a blanket or a calf curled beneath the stars, the desire for safety, for gentle touch, and for love is something all living beings share. So the next time you see an elephant, picture that, a creature of immense strength that began its journey with a tiny act of self-soothing. In that calm, unguarded moment, you'll find the purest form of connection between their world and ours. If you were standing in a forest at dusk, you might never hear them coming. The air could be still, the birds quiet, the leaves unmoving, and then suddenly, out of the shadows, a shape begins to form. 1 ton, 2 tons, maybe more. An entire family of elephants moving like ghosts through the trees. Their size should shake the earth, but it doesn't. They pass so silently that the only sound is the whisper of grass brushing against their legs. For creatures this immense, their footsteps are poetry. Each foot is a masterpiece of balance, a soft circle of skin and muscle with a cushion beneath, much like the sole of a sneaker. Inside, the bones are arranged in a way that spreads every ounce of their weight evenly. No thud, no stomp, no crash. Just a gentle press into the soil, then release. They don't walk on the ground, they seem to walk with it. Underneath each foot lies a fatty, spring-like pad. Think of it as nature's shock absorber. It allows them to move quietly across mud, sand, and even gravel. It's also what lets them sense the world beneath them. Through these soft pads, elephants can feel vibrations, distant thunder, herds calling from miles away, even the footsteps of others. They don't just walk on the earth, they listen to it. When you see a group of elephants traveling together, their steps often fall into rhythm, a slow, unified pace that feels almost musical. Calves follow close, their smaller feet pressing perfectly into the prints left by the elders ahead. There's an unspoken choreography in every journey, a harmony between power and patience. The matriarch leads, not with force, but with steadiness. Each step a signal that says, we move together, we move quietly, we move home. It's a strange kind of magic, watching the largest land animals on earth move more softly than a house cat. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's intention, it's awareness. They don't crush the world beneath them because they understand it carries them. Every step is taken with care. If you close your eyes and picture it, a moonlit savanna, dust in the air, a line of elephants gliding soundlessly through the dark, you might feel a little peace stirring inside you too, the kind that reminds you that true strength doesn't need to announce itself. It just exists, calm and steady, with every quiet step. So when life feels loud or heavy, think of the elephant, the silent traveler of the wild, moving through the world with grace, leaving only soft prints behind. There's something peaceful about watching an elephant rest. In the soft glow of afternoon light, when the air turns golden and quiet, an elephant might stop beneath the wide arms of an acacia tree. The heat hums, the shadows stretch long, and in that calm, the great animal's heartbeat slows, slower than you'd ever expect from a body so enormous. Just 25 gentle beats per minute. For comparison, a human heart beats around 70 times each minute, even at rest. An elephant's heart, though, moves at less than half that pace. It doesn't rush. It doesn't strain. Each beat is long, deliberate, and strong, a rhythm as steady as the earth itself. It's a sound you'd barely notice if you pressed your ear against that wide, warm chest. A low, echoing pulse that feels more like a drum than a thump. Scientists say this slow rhythm is part of how elephants conserve energy. Their massive bodies, with hearts weighing up to 12 kilograms, don't need speed, they need endurance. And that endurance is powered by calm. When they're anxious, their pulse quickens like ours. But when they find shade, when the air cools and the world softens, their heartbeat drifts downward, sometimes reaching 25 beats or fewer. It's nature's reminder that peace begins within. There's poetry in that idea, a creature capable of uprooting trees, yet choosing stillness. Beneath the branches, elephants close their eyes and sway gently, like ships resting on quiet seas. Their ears droop, their breath slows, and time itself seems to stretch. Each beat says, "Be here, breathe, it's enough." If you've ever felt your own heart race from worry or hurry, think of that rhythm. Think of an elephant standing in the shade, breathing deep, heart calm as the soil beneath its feet. There's wisdom there in letting the world move around you while you remain unshaken inside. Some herds even nap this way together, shoulder to shoulder, sharing the same slow heartbeat. From a distance, they look like a moving hill of silence, yet inside, every pulse is in harmony, strong enough to carry them for decades, steady enough to remind us that real strength is quiet. As the day cools and dusk approaches, the elephant eventually stirs. The slow heart begins to quicken again, ready to wander, to feed, to lead the herd home. But that peace, the memory of stillness, remains. So, tonight, as you breathe slowly before sleep, remember the elephant under the acacia tree. Let your own heartbeat fall into its rhythm, calm, patient, and kind. Sometimes peace isn't something you find, it's something you allow, one slow, steady beat at a time. In the great open plains where the horizon stretches farther than sight, herds of elephants move like slow rivers across the land. Dust rises with every step, sunlight glints off their backs, and in that steady rhythm of travel, there's an unspoken rule. No one walks alone. When elephants journey, they move not by speed, but by heart. The matriarch leads from the front, ears spread wide, scanning for danger and water. Behind her follow the mothers and calves, the young ones still learning how to match the stride of their elders. Somewhere near the back, an older elephant lingers, maybe limping, maybe tired, and the others adjust without a sound. They simply slow down. The herd shortens its steps, waits, and walks on together. It might take them hours longer to reach a watering hole, but time doesn't seem to matter to them. What matters is that everyone arrives. Scientists who've studied elephant movement say they pace themselves by the slowest member, not the fastest. And if a calf collapses from exhaustion, the entire group will stop, form a circle, and stand guard until it can rise again. There's no rush, no frustration, only quiet patience. This behavior isn't taught, it's felt. It comes from empathy, something elephants have in abundance. They comfort crying calves, mourn lost family members, and gently help the weak stand. Each trunk is both a tool and a gesture of love, reaching out to reassure or lift. Watching them is like watching kindness in motion, a living reminder that strength isn't measured by how fast you go, but by who you bring along. Even in the dark, when they travel under the moon to escape the day's heat, you can see the same rhythm. If a small one falls behind, the mother will rumble softly, a low sound that travels through the ground. The herd will pause until that vibration fades, a signal that the family is whole again. There's something deeply human in that, though perhaps it's more accurate to say something deeply elephant. They don't calculate worth by size or speed. They simply know that togetherness keeps them alive. It's protection, it's love, and it's peace. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel it. The soundless steps, the deep breathing, the slow patience of giants moving as one. A great, gentle rhythm of life, reminding us that being left behind is never the end, not when love knows how to wait. So tonight, if you ever feel like you're walking slower than the world, think of them. The elephants crossing the savanna, waiting for one another under the vast, forgiving sky. Because in the quiet wisdom of their footsteps, no one is ever left behind. As dusk settles over the savanna, the air grows cooler and the world softens. The day's heat drifts away, leaving only the sound of insects and the gentle rustle of grass. In that quiet hour, the elephant herds gather close, mothers, calves, and grandmothers standing in loose circles, their shapes fading into silhouettes beneath a violet sky. Somewhere in the middle of it all, a small calf leans drowsily against its mother's leg, trunk drooping, eyes half closed. Then something tender happens. The mother lowers her head and wraps her trunk gently around her baby, curling it beneath the calf's chin like a cradle. Slowly she begins to sway, forward, back, forward, back. The rhythm is almost imperceptible, a living lullaby played by the largest heart in the animal kingdom. Elephants are creatures of emotion and memory. They feel grief, joy, affection, and peace in ways that mirror our own. And few moments show this better than bedtime. A mother's trunk is powerful enough to uproot trees, yet in this moment it becomes a feather, moving with care, as if even the air might be too rough for her child. Each sway carries the calm of the evening. Each breath is a whisper of reassurance. Scientists who have watched these scenes describe them as gestures of bonding. Rocking releases tension, slows the calf's breathing, and deepens their sense of safety. For elephants, touch isn't just comfort, it's language. Through a single movement of the trunk, a mother says, "I'm here. You're safe. Sleep now." Sometimes other females in the herd join in, forming a loose ring of guardianship around the resting calves. Their shadows shift slowly in the moonlight, ears flapping softly, tails brushing the dust. The night becomes a symphony of stillness. Low breathing, the occasional sigh, the rhythm of calm hearts beating together. It's remarkable how something so vast can feel so delicate. You expect giants to make noise when they move, but elephants seem to belong to a quieter world, one where strength bends gently toward love. In that slow rocking motion, you can see the same instinct that crosses species and oceans. The desire to protect, to soothe, to give peace. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the faint sound of the mother's trunk brushing against her calf's ear, a soft, rhythmic swoosh. It's the sound of safety, the sound of home. So tonight, if the world feels too loud, picture that scene under a starlit sky. An elephant mother swaying in the dark, her baby asleep in the curve of her trunk. A lullaby made of earth and moonlight, reminding us that even in the wild, love finds its rhythm, gentle, patient, and endlessly kind. Night drifts over the savanna like a warm blanket. The air cools, the wind softens, and the hum of insects becomes the evening's lullaby. The elephants have finished feeding for the day. One by one, they slow their movements. Heads low, eyes half closed, steps unhurried. In the moonlight, their shapes look like moving hills, great and calm against the dark horizon. A young elephant, tired from hours of play, folds its legs and lowers itself onto the ground. The dust stirs, then settles again. It lets out a deep sigh, that soft, low exhale that means sleep is near. Nearby, its mother watches. She waits until the calf's breathing steadies, slow, deep, safe, and then, with a quiet grace, she does something extraordinary. She reaches for a branch, carefully, as if handling something fragile. She lays it across her baby's side, then another. A few leaves, some grass, maybe a small twig or two. To human eyes, it looks almost symbolic, like she's tucking her child in for the night. This isn't a one-time behavior. Wildlife researchers have seen elephants do it many times, sometimes covering calves, sometimes older companions, even the bodies of the recently departed. To them, it may be a gesture of care, protection, or simply love. The meaning isn't written in words, but you can feel it in the slow, deliberate way they move. When they stand over a sleeping friend, they don't rush. Their trunks hover, choosing each piece of foliage as if it matters. And perhaps it does. The branch might keep insects away. The leaves might block a bit of wind. But more than that, the act itself carries emotion, an unspoken understanding that safety is something we give one another. The rest of the herd often gathers nearby, forming a quiet circle around the sleepers. There's no chatter, no noise, just the rhythmic sound of breathing, the occasional soft shuffle of feet, and the faint rustle of branches brushing against skin. Even in their silence, you can sense the warmth of community, the peace of knowing someone watches over you as you rest. It's touching to realize that such massive creatures can be so gentle, so mindful. We tend to think of empathy as a human thing, but elephants remind us it's much older, woven deep into the fabric of life itself. If you close your eyes and picture it, the moon above, the quiet herd around, a trunk laying a branch with the care of a lullaby, it's hard not to feel calm. There's comfort in knowing that kindness, in all its forms, exists even in the wild. So as you settle into your own rest tonight, remember that image, a mother elephant tucking her baby beneath the stars, a reminder that love doesn't always need words. Sometimes it's just the sound of leaves settling gently into the night. Somewhere on the African plains, far beyond where the ear can reach, a conversation is happening. No words, no voices, only the faintest tremble in the ground. It's an elephant calling out to another, perhaps miles away. A low, rolling rumble passes through the soil like a secret current. Another answers, and though we can't hear it, the earth itself does. Elephants speak in frequency so deep that human ears can't detect them. Sounds below 20 hertz, called infrasound. These calls aren't just noise. They're messages carried across vast distances. A single rumble can travel for miles through the ground, reaching other herds long before the wind carries it through the air. To an elephant, the world is always humming, a constant rhythm of connection beneath their feet. Scientists discovered this hidden language by accident. They noticed elephants sometimes froze, lifted their feet, and went silent for several moments, then suddenly changed direction or behavior. It turned out they were listening with their feet. The soft pads on the bottom of each foot are sensitive to vibration, like natural seismographs. Through them, elephants can feel the distant footsteps of their kin, the warning of predators, even the thunder of an approaching storm. When one herd finds water, they can call others to join them. When danger comes, a single rumble can alert dozens across the savannah. And sometimes they simply talk. Mothers to calves, friends to friends, partners calling to each other from miles apart. Their language is emotional, filled with greetings, reassurance, and even mourning. What's beautiful is how calm it all is. No shouting, no chaos, just a steady pulsing song beneath the surface of the world. A quiet reminder that communication doesn't always need to be loud to be powerful. If you could somehow stand barefoot on that same ground, you might feel it too. A faint vibration, a heartbeat that isn't yours. It would feel like the earth itself is breathing, carrying stories from one gentle giant to another. You wouldn't know what they're saying, but they'd understand it all the same. We are here. We are together. We are safe. There's a special kind of peace in knowing that even when elephants are miles apart, they're never truly alone. They carry their families within the ground beneath them, every step echoing through a network of invisible threads. So as you lie in bed tonight, think of those unseen rumbles beneath the stars, soft waves of sound carrying messages of comfort across the sleeping plains. The world, even when silent to us, is always whispering something kind. The first drops fall softly, tapping against the dust of the savannah. The air cools, the smell of wet earth rises, and for a moment, even the wind seems to hold its breath. The elephants know what's coming. They always do. Long before the clouds burst, they can smell the rain, feel the pressure change, and sense the promise of relief in the air. When it finally arrives, they stop. No rushing for shelter, no hurry to move. They simply stand, perfectly still. The rain lands on their wide backs, sliding down in rivulets that trace the wrinkles of their skin. Each drop makes a faint sound, almost like fingertips drumming on hollow drums. It's as if the world itself is giving them a gentle massage. They close their eyes, their ears droop, their breathing slows. It's a moment of pure presence, the kind of peace most creatures forget to take. Elephant skin may look rough, but it's surprisingly sensitive. Beneath the thick outer layer lie thousands of tiny nerve endings that feel everything: the tickle of insects, the warmth of sun, the rhythm of raindrops. To them, the rain isn't background noise, it's music. Each droplet a note, each stream a melody that washes away the heat and dust of the day. Sometimes calves dance under the rain, not to escape it, but to play within it. They kick up mud, roll in puddles, and trumpet joyfully, while their mothers remain calm and still, absorbing the coolness in silence. It's a peaceful balance, youth in motion, age in stillness, both finding joy in the same falling water. Researchers observing elephants have noticed how their body language changes when rain begins. The tension fades from their shoulders, their movements slow. It's as if they recognize this moment for what it is, a gift from the sky, not to be hurried through, but to be felt deeply. The image of an elephant standing in the rain is one of nature's most calming scenes. A creature of immense strength, choosing not to move, not to dominate, but simply to be. No fear, no urgency, just quiet acceptance. And maybe that's something we can learn from them. To pause when life pours down on us. To feel the moment fully instead of running from it. To let the rain fall where it will, knowing that it too will pass and leave us clean, cool, and alive. So tonight, as you listen to the quiet sounds around you, imagine that soft African rain and the family of elephants standing still beneath it, their eyes closed, their hearts calm, and the world whispering softly against their skin. From a distance, an elephant's skin looks like stone, thick, wrinkled, and ancient. It seems like nothing could bother it, not even a storm or thorn. But if you were to stand close enough, you'd notice something surprising. A single fly lands on its side, and the skin trembles, just slightly. A subtle shiver runs through the folds, and the giant flicks its ear or twitches its tail. The fly lifts away, and stillness returns. That gentle movement tells a quiet truth. Beneath that heavy-looking skin lies an incredible web of sensation. Every inch of an elephant's body is alive with feeling. Their skin may be up to 2.5 centimeters thick, but it's threaded with thousands of nerve endings that register the smallest change, a grain of sand, a droplet of rain, or the tickle of a tiny insect. What looks like armor is actually awareness. This sensitivity helps them live in tune with their environment. They can feel temperature shifts through their skin, knowing when to seek shade or water. They sense each other's touch, a trunk brushing a shoulder, a calf pressing close for comfort, not as pressure, but as connection. It's how love is communicated in the silent language of the herd. That's why elephants so often cover themselves in dust or mud. It's not just play. The fine layer acts like sunscreen and insect repellent, protecting their sensitive surface from heat and bites. After a dust bath, they stand glistening in the sun, their skin painted in soft earth tones, a natural shield handmade with care. You can sometimes see one pause mid-step to shake its skin like a ripple moving across a lake. The motion starts at the shoulders and travels down to the tail, scattering flies and dust alike. Even that small action feels elegant, power controlled by patience. There's something deeply moving about that contrast. A creature that could crush trees, reacting so gently to something smaller than a raindrop. It's a reminder that strength doesn't mean numbness. It means being strong and aware, powerful enough to protect, but sensitive enough to feel. Imagine the stillness of an elephant herd in the afternoon heat, the sound of insects buzzing, the soft hum of the air. Every ear flick, every tail swish, every subtle shiver becomes part of the savanna's rhythm, a song of balance between strength and softness. Maybe that's the quiet lesson elephants offer us, that being tough doesn't mean being hardened. It means knowing the world through your skin, feeling its smallest tremors and responding not with anger but grace. So as you drift toward sleep tonight, think of that slow ripple along an elephant's back, the silent movement of peace embodied. Even giants, it seems, are comforted by gentleness. There are few sounds in nature more haunting than silence, and few moments quieter than when elephants mourn. In the heat of the day, the herd moves slowly through the savanna. Then, without warning, they stop, their heads lower, their trunks drift toward the ground. Ahead of them lies something they seem to recognize, not by sight alone, but by feeling. Bones, bleached white by sun and wind. One by one the elephants step forward. They don't trample or pass quickly. They pause. Each trunk reaches down to touch the remains, gently, almost tenderly. They linger over the skull, tracing its curves, smelling it, turning it slightly as if confirming what they already know. Sometimes they rumble softly, a low throbbing sound that carries the weight of memory. Scientists who've witnessed this call it elephant thanatology, a study of how elephants respond to death. It's one of the rarest behaviors in the animal world, shared only by a few species capable of empathy: dolphins, whales, great apes, and us. But elephants take it further. They return to the resting places of their kin months or even years later. No matter how much time has passed, they seem to remember. There is a story from Kenya's Amboseli National Park of a matriarch who died near a dry riverbed. Her family moved on as life demanded, but 2 years later, researchers found them back at the site. The herd stood around the bones for nearly an hour. They didn't feed, they didn't play, they just stood, touching, swaying, rumbling low and long into the earth. No one knows exactly what those sounds mean, but it feels wrong to call them anything other than grief. Perhaps it's memory, perhaps it's love, or maybe it's something deeper, the recognition that life, though fragile, continues in the soil, in the air, in the echoes beneath their feet. Elephants have long memories, but what's remarkable isn't just what they remember, it's how. They remember kindness, they remember loss, they remember each other. Even in the endless rhythm of migration, where distance and time blur together, the bonds of family stay unbroken. If you were to stand beside them in that moment, you wouldn't need words to understand. You'd feel it in the stillness, in the patience, in the way the living reach toward the gone with quiet reverence. It's mourning, yes, but it's also gratitude, a gentle thank you for a life once shared. So tonight, as you listen to the world settling down to rest, think of them, those ancient hearts standing under a fading sun, remembering their loved ones, not with tears, but with touch. Even in death, elephants teach us that love leaves a trace, a shape, a scent, a silence that lingers kindly in the heart, long after everything else has passed. There's a special kind of joy that fills the air after rain, the smell of wet earth, the glitter of puddles, and the sound of life waking up again. In those moments when the sun returns and the mud begins to warm, the young elephants come alive. You can spot them near a water hole, small round shapes beside their towering mothers, and soon the stillness breaks. A trunk dips into the water, scoops and sprays. A fine mist catches the sunlight, turning into silver sparkles mid-air. Another calf squeals, or rather rumbles, a low, playful vibration that sounds almost like laughter hidden beneath the earth. Then chaos begins, the best kind there is, joyful, muddy, innocent. Baby elephants are bundles of curiosity. Their trunks are clumsy instruments at first, learning how to lift, grab, and balance. Playtime at the water hole is how they learn. One calf might aim too high and accidentally shower its own head, blinking in surprise. Another might chase a friend in circles, trumpeting softly as if daring them to a rematch. It's impossible not to smile. Even the older elephants seem amused, standing guard, but letting the little ones have their fun. Scientists say play is more than just entertainment for elephants. It's essential practice. Every splash builds strength, coordination, and social understanding. Through laughter and mimicry, calves learn the body language of their kind, how to express joy, comfort, or curiosity. Those low rumbles they make, they're not random. They're the sound of happiness, a vibration of connection that other elephants can feel through their feet. If you stand far enough away, all you might see are silhouettes against the setting sun, trunks raised, water flying, droplets catching light like tiny stars. But if you could hear beyond human frequencies, you'd notice a chorus of soft, joyful tones rippling beneath the ground. To an elephant, play is not silent, it's music. And there's always tenderness within the laughter. When one calf slips, others help it up. When the smallest one wanders too far, a mother steps forward, her trunk curling around it gently like a ribbon of safety. Even in their silliest moments, they remain a family, teaching through touch, through patience, through joy. It's easy to think of elephants as wise and solemn creatures, but they are also creatures of delight. Their happiness is as vast as their size, open, unguarded, and sincere. So as you drift toward sleep tonight, imagine them, the little elephants splashing under the afternoon sun, their laughter echoing softly through the earth. No worries, no rush, just the simple, timeless rhythm of joy. Because even giants begin with play, and in every rumble of laughter, you can hear the sound of peace learning how to live. Sometimes the most powerful form of comfort is silent. No speeches, no explanations, just a gentle gesture that says, "I understand." In the world of elephants, that language of empathy is spoken through the trunk. The trunk, after all, is more than a tool. It's an extension of the elephant's heart, capable of immense strength, yet tender enough to lift a single feather or caress another's face. When one elephant becomes frightened or agitated, the others don't ignore it. They notice immediately. The herd quiets, their eyes soften, and one or more will reach out, curling their trunks around the distressed ones or resting them lightly on its cheek. It's not just touching, it's reassuring. Researchers studying Asian and African elephants have recorded this again and again. A distressed elephant rumbling low, flapping its ears, shifting uneasily, and then, almost immediately, a friend stepping forward to comfort it. Sometimes 2 or 3 approach together, trunks intertwining gently like hands held in solidarity. The anxious one relaxes. Its breathing slows. The rumbles change tone from fear to calm, from loneliness to connection. What's remarkable is that elephants don't comfort only family members. They'll console unrelated individuals too, showing that empathy for them isn't limited by blood. It's something broader, something instinctive. They seem to feel what others feel, and they respond with the same gentleness we might offer a crying child or a grieving friend. Their empathy runs deep. When one elephant is injured, the herd often stays behind, refusing to leave. They guard it, bringing food or using their trunks to help it stand. If it falls, they try again. If it dies, they linger, standing silently beside the body, sometimes touching it for hours. No one taught them this. They just know. It's humbling to think that beneath their rough skin and immense size beats a heart so attuned to emotion. In their quiet gestures, a trunk draped over a friend's back, a gentle touch to the face, a shared rumble through the ground, they remind us of something we often forget, that kindness doesn't need words to be understood. If you close your eyes tonight, imagine them standing together under the fading light, great silhouettes against a soft horizon, touching trunks, exchanging a comfort that transcends sound. The wind moves gently between them, carrying the low hum of peace. Maybe that's what empathy really is, not the solving of pain, but the willingness to stand beside it. And in that, elephants are masters. So when the world feels heavy, remember their lesson, that a simple, gentle gesture, a hand, a word, a moment of stillness can calm a heart more powerfully than anything else. On the open savanna, where the sun presses down like a golden weight, shade is rare and heat is constant. Yet in that blazing landscape, elephants stand calm, not sweating, not panting, not rushing for cover. Instead, they do something simple and elegant. They lift their enormous ears and begin to wave them, slowly and rhythmically, like two great fans stirring the heavy air. Each flap releases a whisper of movement, a soft whoosh, a pause, another whoosh. It looks like nothing special, but inside those ears something miraculous is happening. Beneath the thin skin lies a dense network of veins, so many that from up close the ears seem almost marbled with blue and pink lines. Blood flows through these vessels, just beneath the surface where the air is cooler. With each wave, the breeze cools the blood before it returns to the rest of the body, a natural air conditioning system built by evolution itself. An elephant's body can weigh several tons, and all that mass generates immense heat. But those ears, which can stretch up to 6 feet across, help maintain balance. Scientists have found that elephants can drop their body temperature by several degrees just by flapping them steadily. It's a quiet kind of wisdom, the kind nature designs without words. When you watch them, there's a rhythm that feels almost meditative. The ears move in slow time, not rushed or erratic, but steady. A pace that matches their heartbeat, their breathing, and perhaps even the hum of the landscape around them. In the shimmer of heat, that gentle motion becomes part of the savanna's lullaby. It's not only about cooling, though. Their ears are also signals, communication tools that tell others when they're relaxed or alert. Wide, calm waves mean peace. A sudden stiffening means attention. Every motion carries meaning, even when it's small. Sometimes, as dusk falls and the heat fades, they stop fanning altogether. The air cools, the blood settles, and the silence feels deep. But during the hottest hours, their ears never stop. A slow, soothing rhythm that keeps life steady and safe. There's something deeply peaceful about that idea. The largest land animals on Earth surviving the fiercest sun not by force or resistance, but by grace, by moving gently with the world instead of against it. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel it, the faint breeze from those mighty ears brushing against your cheek like the sigh of a warm wind. The earth hums, the grass sways, and somewhere in that stillness an elephant stands beneath the endless sky, cooling its blood, one quiet wave at a time. So when the world feels too hot, too heavy, or too fast, remember them, creatures of strength who find calm through motion and balance through patience. Sometimes, even the smallest breeze is enough. In the soft glow of morning, the elephant herd begins to move. Dust rises around their feet, the grass bends beneath their steps, and at the front of them all walks the matriarch, calm, deliberate, and unhurried. She doesn't lead with force. She doesn't shout or command, yet every elephant behind her follows without question. Elephant herds are families, and at their heart stands the oldest female, the matriarch. Her years have taught her the paths to hidden waterholes, the timing of the rains, and the faces of both friend and enemy. Her memory stretches across decades, holding the knowledge of generations. When she moves, she carries history in her steps. To an outsider, her leadership might seem silent. But among elephants, silence is a kind of language. Her trunk gestures, her ears shift, her low rumbles vibrate through the ground, signals the others understand instantly. Calves cluster close to their mothers. The young females mirror her pace, learning how to move through the world with grace. Even the adult males, though they may travel alone later in life, were once shaped by her rhythm. Researchers have found that herds with older matriarchs are more resilient. They know where to go when drought hits, which watering holes are safe, and which ones carry the scent of predators. When danger comes, a lion, a poacher, or a storm, she is the first to face it, not with panic, but with ancient calm. Her wisdom keeps her family alive. But leadership in her world isn't about dominance, it's about care. The matriarch waits for the young to catch up. She stands guard when the newborn sleep. She helps the injured rise. Her power is quiet but steady, built not from control, but from love. When she grows old, her daughters and nieces begin to take on her lessons. They walk at her side, absorbing her patience, her intuition, her strength. One day when she's gone, they'll remember her roots, her sounds, her steadiness, and they'll lead in the same gentle way. It's humbling, really, how such vast creatures can embody such soft authority. The matriarch doesn't chase loyalty. She earns it through calm presence, Her herd follows because they trust her, because her decisions are shaped by memory, not impulse. If you could stand beside her as she guides her family under the fading sun, you'd see what true leadership looks like. Not loud, not proud, but grounded, like the earth itself. So as you rest tonight, think of her. The old elephant walking ahead of her kin, leading them through the dust and heat with quiet certainty. In her slow, steady steps lives the wisdom of 100 journeys. She doesn't rush. She doesn't boast. She simply knows the way. And in her knowing, everyone finds peace. If you ever look closely into an elephant's eyes, you might forget how large the rest of it is. Amid all that power and weight and history, there is a softness, a warm, steady gaze framed by lashes long enough to brush the air. Those eyelashes, dark and curved, can grow up to 5 inches long. They move gently when the wind passes, each strand like a tiny sentinel standing guard over the most expressive eyes in the animal kingdom. At first, you might think they're there simply for beauty. And yes, they are beautiful, almost hypnotic, the way they sway with each slow blink. But every detail serves a purpose. Out on the plains where dust rolls in waves and sunlight glares from every direction, those long lashes protect the elephant's eyes like natural curtains. They catch grains of sand before they can sting. They shade delicate tissue from harsh sun. They even disrupt air currents, keeping irritants from swirling too close. Scientists have studied this curious design and found that the length of an elephant's lashes, about 1/3 the width of its eye, is the perfect ratio for filtering dust while allowing airflow. It's an example of nature's quiet engineering, each blink a balance of protection and grace. But beyond the science, there's something emotional about the way elephants use their eyes. They don't stare, they regard. When a mother looks at her calf, when two friends reunite, or when they stand still after a long day's travel, their eyes seem to hold whole stories: patience, sadness, joy, and understanding. The lashes frame that emotion the way a picture frame holds art. There are moments in the wild when the light hits just right, dusk settling, air cooling, and an elephant blinks slowly, the lashes brushing together like whispering grass. In that moment, you realize how little separates strength from gentleness. Even giants need protection from the smallest things, from dust, from sunlight, from the world's constant flicker. Sometimes, when they rest beneath a tree, you'll see them lower those lashes fully, eyes half closed, drifting into stillness. The lashes tremble slightly with every breath, almost like the rhythm of sleep itself. Watching them, it's impossible not to feel calm too, as if their peace reaches outward, settling everything around them. It's a lovely thought, isn't it? That something as enormous and ancient as an elephant depends on something as delicate as eyelashes. That in the design of those tiny fibers, nature remembers to protect even its most powerful creations with gentleness. So tonight, as you let your own eyes grow heavy, think of those lashes, swaying softly in the golden light, guarding quiet eyes that have seen centuries of sky. Sometimes beauty and purpose are the same thing, a simple act of protection that lets life rest a little easier. The savannah is still before dawn. The sky is silver with the first light, and somewhere among the tall grass a small miracle unfolds. After 22 long months of waiting, a mother elephant brings new life into the world. The air is warm. The herd stands nearby, quiet but alert, a circle of giants guarding the tiniest among them. The calf is still wet from birth, its skin soft and wrinkled, its trunk curling and uncurling like it doesn't quite know what to do yet. For a moment it lies there in the dust, blinking at the strange brightness, the sound of distant birds, the warmth of morning light. Then instinct takes over. With a trembling effort, it begins to move. First a shuffle, then a slip, then another try. Its legs, long and unsteady, spread too wide, then fold again. The herd rumbles softly, a low, encouraging chorus that vibrates through the ground. Its mother touches its calf with her trunk, gentle and firm, as if to say, "You can do this." And somehow, within 10, maybe 15 minutes, the calf finds balance. Wobbly, yes, like a small boat in big waves, but standing. The first step comes soon after, awkward, uneven, perfect. Scientists say elephant calves must stand quickly to survive. In the wild, stillness can invite danger. But watching one rise for the first time, it feels less like survival and more like triumph. A creature only minutes old, already learning how to hold the world beneath its feet. Once upright, the baby leans against its mother's leg for support. Her skin is rough and warm, her presence a wall of safety. She guides it toward her chest to feed, wrapping her trunk around it protectively. The rest of the herd stays close, aunts, sisters, cousins, all watching, all humming softly in tones humans can't hear. It's a welcome lullaby. As the sun climbs higher, the calf begins to explore, still shaky, still unsure. It bumps into a sibling, sniffs a tuft of grass, trips, and rises again. Every movement is a small victory, every fall a gentle lesson. You can almost feel the determination pulsing through that tiny body, a will to move, to live, to join the rhythm of the herd. There's something profoundly peaceful in that moment, watching a creature begin its life not with fear, but with quiet courage. No rush, no noise, just persistence wrapped in innocence. So tonight, if you need a little strength, think of that newborn elephant, wobbling under the open sky, legs trembling, but spirit steady. Even before it knows what life is, it's already choosing to stand. And sometimes that's all life asks of us, too. Not perfection, not speed, just the gentle, determined courage to rise again. Night has settled over the savannah. The heat of the day has faded. The crickets have begun their slow rhythm, and the moon spills silver light across the open plain. The elephant herd stands close together, their massive shadows blending into one another. One by one, they lower their trunks, close their eyes, and begin to rest. And then, softly, it begins, a low, gentle hum. It isn't loud or commanding. It doesn't echo or demand attention. It's subtle, like the sound of wind inside a seashell, or the faint vibration you feel rather than hear. The elephants hum to one another, deep tones that ripple through the earth, passing from one body to the next. It's as if the ground itself carries their goodnight wishes. Scientists studying elephants have recorded this nighttime humming and believe it's a form of communication, perhaps reassurance, perhaps affection. Mothers hum softly near their calves, the sound rolling gently through the air. The young respond with smaller, lighter rumbles, like tiny echoes. In the dark, when vision fades, the sound becomes a way of staying connected, a reminder that no one is alone. To human ears, it's almost imperceptible. You might think the savannah is silent, but beneath that silence is a symphony, low, steady, comforting. Each vibration is like a heartbeat shared among giants. Elephants can feel it through their feet, their trunks, their skin. Even in sleep, their world is woven together by sound. There's something profoundly peaceful about it. These are animals that spend their days moving across harsh lands, facing heat, hunger, and danger. Yet at night they hum. They sing to one another softly before sleep. It's their way of saying, "You are safe. Rest now. We're here." Imagine standing nearby under that moonlight, the air cool, the earth warm beneath your feet, and feeling that hum pass through you. A vibration so low it touches not your ears, but your chest, like the slow rhythms of a distant drum. You wouldn't need to know their language to understand its meaning. It's the same comfort a mother gives a child, or a friend gives another, with a simple touch. Even the calves, half asleep, sway slightly with the sound, rocked not by motion, but by the rhythm of the herd's shared breath. The night feels alive yet utterly calm, every hum a note in nature's quiet lullaby. It's strange, isn't it, how creatures so enormous can create something so gentle. Their strength could shake the ground, yet they choose to sing to it instead. So as you drift to sleep tonight, think of them, a family of elephants beneath the moon, humming softly to the stars. The world feels peaceful in their care, and in that deep, wordless song, everything, for a moment, is safe, still, and perfectly calm. Happiness in the world of elephants doesn't arrive with noise or spectacle. It shows up quietly, in a slow flap of the ears, a shimmer of dust in the air, and a soft chirp that sounds almost like a sigh turned into music. If you've ever seen an elephant in a moment of joy, perhaps greeting a friend, meeting her calf after a short separation, or finding water after a long journey, you'll notice something small but unmistakable. Her ears begin to wave gently and rhythmically, almost like a hand brushing against a warm breeze. It's not to cool off this time. It's expression, emotion made visible. Along with that motion comes a sound few people ever hear. Not the deep trumpet most imagine, but something lighter, a chirping, almost like bird song, carried low and soft through the air. Scientists call it a happy rumble, often paired with fluttering ears and bright, relaxed eyes. The combination means only one thing: contentment. It's touching, really, that such massive beings express joy so delicately. You might expect thunder, but what you get instead is melody, a quiet, fluttering chorus that passes between them like laughter shared in whispers. Calves are the most expressive of all. When they play in the mud or nuzzle close to their mothers, they chirp in bursts, as if giggling. Their little trunks wave around, ears flickering like flags of pure delight. Older elephants respond in kind, not loudly, but with gentle approval. A low rumble here, a light brush of trunk there. Joy in their world is always shared. It ripples outward from one body to another, through air, through touch, through sound too soft for us to fully hear. Scientists studying elephant emotions believe these sounds are their version of laughter, a signal that everything is safe, that the moment is good, that they belong. And maybe that's why their joy feels contagious. You can sense it even from afar, the looseness in their movement, the sparkle of dust rising around them, the peace that fills the space between their breaths. It's a reminder that happiness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it hums quietly inside you, like a low song you don't need to sing aloud. So as you listen to your quiet tonight, the hum of your room, the rhythm of your breathing, imagine them, a herd of elephants at sunset, ears waving gently, eyes soft, the air filled with little murmurs of contentment. Their happiness is not dramatic or fleeting. It's calm, grounded, alive in every flap and flutter, the kind of joy that doesn't demand to be seen, only felt. And maybe that's the truest kind there is. In the vast silence of the savannah, memory is more precious than gold. There are no maps, no markers, no signs, only the endless shimmer of heat, the whisper of wind, and the invisible paths known by heart. And in that wide, unforgiving world, no creature remembers better than the elephant. When the land dries and rivers vanish, when the air itself seems to thirst, it is the matriarch who leads her herd across the parched plains. She doesn't guess, she remembers. Her mind holds the map of generations, where her mother walked, where her grandmother stopped to drink, where water once slept beneath the sand. Even decades later, through droughts, fires, or the noise of war, she can still find the places that kept her family alive. Researchers have followed elephant herds in Africa through terrible dry seasons, when all hope seemed lost. Again and again they saw the same thing, the matriarch suddenly changing direction, walking for miles through barren terrain, leading her family to a single patch of earth where beneath the dust water waited. Some of these routes hadn't been used in over 20 years, yet she remembered, as if the land itself had whispered its secrets only to her. Scientists say elephants have one of the largest and most complex hippocampi, the part of the brain tied to memory and navigation. But beyond science, there's something spiritual about it. Their memories aren't just practical, they're emotional. They remember the sound of distant thunder, the scent of certain trees near wells, the feeling of cool mud beneath their feet. To them, memory isn't an image, it's a sensation. Sometimes, after years of absence, elephants return to old landscapes changed by humans. They'll pause where villages now stand, where once there were watering holes. Their trunks brush the ground, searching for what used to be. You can almost sense their confusion and their sadness in the way they linger. They remember what the world has forgotten. It's humbling to think of memory living that long, not as words but as instinct carried in silence through generations. A young calf walking beside its mother today might one day retrace her steps, guided by echoes of the same invisible map. The earth, the wind, the stars, all reminders stitched into its heart. If you close your eyes tonight, imagine that journey, a line of elephants walking through the dust, led by the wisdom of memory older than time. The matriarch pauses, lifts her trunk, and smells the wind, and somewhere far ahead, water waits. We humans build our maps with ink and lines. Elephants build theirs with love, memory, and trust. And maybe that's why, even in the harshest places on earth, they never truly lose their way. If an elephant's heart shows its kindness, then its trunk shows its genius. That long, flexible, endlessly expressive limb is not just an extension of its body. It's a symbol of perfect balance between power and grace. With it, an elephant can rip a tree from the ground or pluck a single blade of grass without tearing it. And the secret behind that versatility lies in something extraordinary. More than 40,000 muscles woven together in one seamless, fluid design. To put that in perspective, your entire body has about 600 muscles. An elephant's trunk has nearly 70 times that number, all packed into a single limb with no bones, no joints, only control. Each tiny movement, from lifting a leaf to spraying water, is the result of precise coordination that would take a lifetime for a human to master. Yet elephants do it instinctively, moving their trunks like a song they were born knowing. At dawn, you might see one reach up to tug fruit from a tall tree, curling its trunk around the branch with the same care a hand gives to a ripe peach. Later, at a waterhole, that same trunk becomes a fountain, drawing several gallons in seconds before arching upward to pour the stream into a waiting mouth. And when night falls, the trunk transforms again, lowering to stroke a calf's back, brushing away flies, or resting softly across a sleeping companion's side. The trunk isn't just physical, it's emotional. Elephants greet one another by entwining trunks, a gesture that means hello, comfort, or even I've missed you. It's how they express friendship, forgiveness, affection. Some have been observed using their trunks to lift the fallen or guide the weak. Through touch, they speak more clearly than words ever could. Scientists believe the trunk's flexibility comes from its muscular hydrostat structure, muscles working like ropes around an invisible skeleton of air and water pressure. It bends, stretches, and twists in any direction, capable of both crushing power and feather-like touch. It's a living paradox, a reminder that true strength isn't about rigidity, it's about adaptability. Watching an elephant move its trunk feels like watching an artist at work. Every motion deliberate yet effortless, every gesture filled with emotion. Whether pulling down branches or lifting a single flower, the same patience, the same quiet mastery flows through. If you close your eyes, you can almost imagine that motion, the smooth curl, the careful lift, the whisper of air as it moves. There's peace in that rhythm, the kind born from knowing your own strength and never needing to prove it. So as you rest tonight, think of that trunk. 40,000 muscles, one steady heart, showing that gentleness and power can live side by side. Sometimes the mightiest force in the world is the one that knows exactly when to hold and when to let go. Night in the savannah carries its own kind of magic. The air cools, the wind softens, and the moon spills across the plains like liquid silver. Most animals retreat into the tall grass, hiding from the quiet mysteries of the dark. But somewhere near a shallow pool, a herd of elephants lingers, not drinking, not bathing, just standing still beneath the stars. Their trunks reach forward, almost reverently, brushing the water's surface. Ripples spread outward, glimmering under the moonlight. One calf dips its trunk curiously, then lifts it again, watching droplets sparkle and fall. It's peaceful. No sound but the soft shuffle of feet and the faint splash of water returning to itself. Scientists observing elephants at night have a name for this behavior: bathing without need. It happens when elephants approach water not for thirst or heat, but for reasons that seem emotional. They touch it gently, as if drawn to its reflection, maybe seeing the moon ripple, maybe seeing themselves. No urgency, no function, just the quiet act of being near beauty. To the human mind, this can feel almost poetic, a creature so enormous, so bound by survival, taking a moment to appreciate something so simple. Yet elephants are known for their curiosity and sensitivity. They notice things. They pause for silence. They seem to understand that peace isn't something you chase. It's something you stand still enough to feel. Sometimes older elephants lead the herd to these pools as the world falls asleep. Calves stand between them, safe under a sky they'll one day navigate themselves. The adults dip their trunks again, tracing small circles in the water, as if drawing memories only they can read. Perhaps the pool reminds them of journeys past, other rains, other moons, other lives. Even when they move on, the ripples linger, perfect rings of silver that stretch outward long after the herd fades into the dark. It's easy to imagine water carrying something of them, their calm, their grace, their unspoken understanding that beauty doesn't need a reason to be touched. There's a kind of wisdom in that, to approach the world not always with purpose, but with presence. To stop at life's still ponds and feel them shimmer against your fingertips. Elephants remind us that wonder isn't something rare, it's something we often forget to notice. So tonight, as you rest, picture them under the moon, their reflections moving across quiet water, their trunks swaying softly like notes in a song only they can hear. They don't drink, they don't wash, they simply touch. And maybe that's enough, to reach out to the world now and then, not because you need it, but because it's beautiful. Before the first cloud appears, before the wind begins to shift, before even the birds take notice, the elephants already know. A matriarch lifts her head, nostrils wide, trunk curling high toward the horizon. The air feels dry, the land cracked with thirst, but somewhere far beyond sight, she senses it. Rain. Not by sound or sight, but by scent. The faint trace of moisture carried across the wind from a storm more than 100 miles away. Scientists say elephants can smell rain from nearly 150 miles off. Their trunks, with millions of scent receptors, are like instruments finely tuned to the invisible language of air. They can detect water vapor, wet soil, and the subtle changes that come when clouds begin to gather. Long before a single drop falls, they already know which direction to walk. It's this gift that helps them survive in harsh, changing landscapes. In Africa and Asia, where seasons can swing from flood to famine, that sense of smell is more than skill. It's wisdom. The matriarch weeds her herd toward the scent she knows by heart, the smell of life returning. The journey can take days. The calves grow tired. The dust rises. The sun burns overhead. But the herd trusts her. Every so often, she pauses, lifts her trunk again, and breathes in the faintest note of petrichor. That sweet, earthy perfume of wet soil tells her they're getting closer. Her memory and her senses work together, ancient and sure. And then one morning, the sky changes. Clouds gather at the edge of the world. The air thickens. The wind tastes new. Before long, the first drops begin to fall, soft, scattered, precious. The herd stands still, letting the water roll down their backs, their eyes half closed in relief. They've made it. What's remarkable is that they don't rush to drink right away. Often they simply stand for a while, feeling the rain, almost as if greeting an old friend. The matriarch rumbles softly, the sound passing through the ground, a signal of calm that spreads through the herd. It's more than just weather to them. It's renewal, memory, and hope all at once. There's something poetic in that, how the largest land animals on Earth move across continents, guided not by sight or noise, but by the faint fragrance of rain. They trust something unseen, something that cannot be touched, only felt. So tonight, as you breathe quietly and listen to the stillness around you, think of them, walking through dust and distance, following a scent of promise in the wind. Because sometimes, like the elephants, we too are guided by things we cannot see. Small signals that whisper, "Keep going, something good is coming." The sun hangs low over the plains, painting the grass in gold. A herd of elephants moves slowly through the light, dust shimmering around their feet. Then the rhythm breaks. One of them stumbles. A younger female, maybe injured, collapses to her knees. For a moment, everything stops. There is no panic, no noise, just stillness, the kind that feels heavy, full of feeling. Within seconds, two others step forward, her mother and a sister perhaps. They lower their trunks, touching her sides, her face, her back. It's as if they're checking, asking, "Are you still with us?" The injured elephant groans softly, trying to rise. Her legs tremble. She fails. And then something remarkable happens. One of the helpers positions herself beside the fallen one and slides her tusks underneath her chest. Another braces from the other side, pushing gently but firmly. Together, with slow precision, they lift, not by force, but by care. The injured elephant sways, catches balance, and finally stands. She leans against her family for a moment, exhausted but upright. The herd rumbles softly, a deep, low vibration that passes through the ground, the sound of relief. No one moves on right away. They wait until she's steady. Only then do they continue, step by careful step, as one. This isn't rare. Across Africa and Asia, researchers have recorded elephants helping one another rise, supporting the weak, and even standing guard beside the injured for days. Some have been seen bringing food or water with their trunks, or chasing away scavengers until their companion can recover. It's empathy made visible, not instinct alone, but intention, a decision to care. When elephants see one of their own in pain, they don't turn away. They stop their journey, risking delay and danger, because the herd moves as a family, not a collection of individuals. No one is too slow, too weak, or too broken to be worth waiting for. The tusks they use for defense and strength become instruments of healing. Each lift is a quiet act of faith, faith that help is worth giving, that compassion is strength. If you could stand near them in that moment, you wouldn't hear words or see drama, just the gentle rhythm of giants working together, their breathing slow and steady, the dust glowing around them in the afternoon sun. It's a sight that humbles you, the pure, wordless kindness of life, helping life. So tonight, as you rest, think of that image, an elephant rising again, supported by her family's touch. The world can feel heavy sometimes, but somewhere out there, even in the wild, love moves through the air, not shouted, not asked for, but freely given. Because even the strongest sometimes fall, and even the silent know how to lift. In the wide open plains of Africa, the landscape looks endless, hills blending into grass, rivers carving silent paths through the dust. There are no signs, no trails, no maps, but the elephants know the way. Not because they've been told, but because someone once showed them. Every herd has a matriarch, the eldest female, the walking library of her family. Within her mind lies the memory of distant rains, hidden waterholes, and the scent of danger carried on the wind. She remembers where her mother led her decades ago, when the rivers last dried. She remembers which valleys flood, which paths hide hunters, which trees fruit first after the storms. When the world changes, as it always does, her memory becomes the thread that holds the herd together. She doesn't just walk, she guides. And beside her, her daughters and nieces follow, watching every decision she makes. Scientists have studied this quiet passing of knowledge for years. When older matriarchs are lost, herds become more vulnerable, wandering into danger, missing seasonal water, or falling into panic during drought. But when her wisdom remains, so does stability. The younger elephants imitate her choices until they too carry those invisible maps inside them. It's not just about direction, it's a story. An elephant's memory isn't a list of places, it's a feeling. The smell of wet earth where water once ran, the echo of thunder over a distant ridge, the faint tension in the air where danger once hid. These sensations become lessons, told not in words, but through rumbles, gestures, and paths retraced year after year. Even after generations, elephants have been seen returning to ancient routes, trails unused for decades, as if answering a whisper from their ancestors. In Kenya, herds once followed paths that had vanished under human towns, arriving at the same dry rivers their grandmothers once crossed. The land changes, but their memories don't. It's beautiful to imagine that, an invisible chain of wisdom stretching backward through time, linking every elephant alive today to those that walked long before. Their memories are living things, carried in footsteps, shared in rumbles, kept safe in the rhythm of migration. And perhaps that's what memory truly is. Love remembered in motion. Each journey, each pause, each choice, guided by care passed down through generations. So tonight, as you rest, picture them under a setting sun, the matriarch leading, the calves following close behind, and the air humming softly with the pulse of memory. They walk paths older than maps, guided by hearts that never forget. Because in the world of elephants, to remember is not just to survive, it's to honor, to protect, and to keep love alive across the ages. When the sun sinks and the world cools, the savanna changes. The heat lifts from the ground, the air smells faintly of dust and dew, and the horizon glows in silver in shadow. It's then, in this soft in-between hour, that the elephants begin to move. They travel mostly at night, not because they fear the sun, but because the darkness offers calm. The light of the moon smooths the world into pale color. Each shape becomes gentle, every sound softened. The herd begins its journey slowly, quietly. And if you listen closely, you'll hear something remarkable. Their footsteps falling in rhythm, a deep and steady pulse that feels almost like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Each elephant steps where another has stepped, the ground absorbing their weight in silence. The youngest walk in the center, guided by their mother's gentle nudges. Even the smallest calf, half asleep, seems to find the beat without trying. There's no conductor, no plan, just instinct, trust, and memory weaving their movement together. Scientists believe this synchronization helps them communicate through vibration. The low tremors of their steps travel through the soil, allowing the herd to stay connected even in the dark. But it's more than coordination. It's communion. They move as one body, one rhythm, one breath. Sometimes they hum softly as they go, deep rumbles that blend with the cadence of their feet. It's a music few humans will ever hear, a lullaby of footsteps and moonlight, strong yet peaceful. When they pause, the world seems to pause with them. When they move again, it's as if the night itself has decided to follow. If you could walk beside them, you might not hear their steps at all, only feel them, faint tremors under your feet, like the slow beating of a distant drum. It's the rhythm of belonging, of life lived in quiet harmony. Even the way they space themselves, always close enough to touch, never too close to the crowd, speaks of balance. The matriarch leads without looking back. She knows the herd follows because their hearts move to the same invisible tempo. The calves doze lightly between strides, safe in the melody of their mother's movement. In a world that often rushes, there's something deeply peaceful about their patience. They walk all night if they must, never hurrying, never lost. Their rhythm carries them home. So tonight, as you lie still, think of them, a line of gentle giants crossing the moonlit plains, their steps soundless, their hearts steady. Each movement is both journey and song, written not in notes, but in trust. And perhaps if you listen closely to your own breathing, you'll find that same rhythm, the quiet beat that reminds you that peace, like the elephant's footsteps, is always there beneath the noise. The midday sun hovers high above the savannah, heavy and golden. Most of the herd stands still, conserving energy beneath scattered acacia trees. Dust swirls softly around their legs. Somewhere near the center, a young calf yawns, a small, squeaky sound that seems almost too gentle for such a vast world. The little one has been walking all morning, keeping pace with giants. Its legs wobble now, its trunk droops in drowsy loops. The heat presses down, so, like countless calves before it, it finds its favorite place, right beneath its mother's belly. She shifts slightly, spreading her front legs just enough to create shade. Her massive body becomes a living canopy. The calf steps beneath her, sighs, and lowers itself to the ground. There, in the dim coolness, it closes its eyes. The air is thick with her scent, warm, earthy, familiar. Every breath it takes smells like safety. The mother remains still, her trunk occasionally brushing her calf's back, checking, reassuring. Around her the herd continues to hum in low tones, communication through vibrations more than sound. Each note means peace, all is well. Scientists have observed this behavior again and again. Calves seeking the shadow of their mothers not just for protection from sun or predators, but for emotional comfort. Beneath that great body, the calf can rest, its tiny heartbeat syncing with hers. The world outside might be unpredictable, but here, under her, there's only calm. Sometimes other females stand around them, forming a loose circle. They're sisters, aunts, or grandmothers, a network of quiet guardians. They know the mother cannot see everything, so they stand watch together. Their bodies form walls of safety, their silence a song of trust. In this small moment, a baby resting in the shadow of its mother lies one of life's simplest truths. Even the smallest heart finds peace in closeness. Elephants are creatures of emotion. and touch is their language. A mother's body says, "You're safe. I'm here. Sleep." When the calf finally stirs, blinking against the light, the mother lowers her trunk, nudging it gently to its feet. The herd begins to move again, slow and steady, the rhythm of life resuming. But for that short time, the world was perfectly still. One life sheltered beneath another, love made visible through shade and patience. If you close your eyes tonight, imagine that scene, the quiet warmth of the savannah, the slow breath of a mother elephant, and a baby asleep beneath her, dreaming safely. There's a kind of peace in that image that needs no words. Because whether we stand beneath trees or beneath love, we all rest best when we know someone is watching over us. The afternoon sun burns bright over the savannah, white and heavy. The air ripples with heat, the ground breathes dust, and the horizon shimmers like glass. Most creatures hide from the light, but not the elephants. They walk calmly toward the nearest watering hole, not to drink, but to bathe in the only shade nature can give them, mud. It begins with one, usually the matriarch, stepping into the water's edge, stirring up the soil beneath her feet. Her trunk dips down, scooping a thick, wet clump of earth. With slow, graceful precision, she flings it over her back. The sound is soft, a wet thud, followed by the faint hiss of moisture meeting warm skin. Then another follows her lead, then another, until the air is full of splashes and laughter-like rumbles. Elephants don't just love mud, they need it. Their skin, though thick, is surprisingly sensitive and prone to dryness under the relentless sun. A coating of mud works like natural sunscreen, cooling their bodies, locking in moisture, and forming a barrier against biting insects. It's protection and pleasure rolled into one. Calves, of course, make it an art of play. They roll in it completely, legs kicking, trunks waving, faces covered in patches of dark clay. Their mothers stand thereby, half watching, half participating, showering themselves and the little ones with fresh scoops of mud. The herd hums softly, contentment that carries through the air like a low lullaby. Scientists have measured how effective these mud baths are. A layer of mud can keep an elephant cool for hours after the heat peaks. When it dries, it flakes off gently, taking dirt and parasites with it. Nature's spa treatment, as ancient as time itself. But beyond biology, there's beauty in the ritual. Elephants don't rush through it. Each movement is deliberate, patient, almost meditative. When the herd is finely coated, they look like living sculptures, red in one valley, gray in another, depending on the color of the soil. As they walk away, the mud catches the sunlight, glinting like bronze. And then, as the day fades, you can sometimes see the dried mud crack and fall in soft patterns, revealing fresh, clean skin beneath. Its renewal made visible, a daily cycle of covering, protecting, and letting go. If you could stand beside them, you'd feel the peace of it, the rhythm of trunks dipping, mud splashing, and hearts content. The scent of wet earth, the hum of calm voices, and the joy of coolness on warm skin. So tonight, as you settle into rest, think of the elephants, standing serene under the glowing sun, painting themselves with the gifts of the earth. In every splash of mud is wisdom, that sometimes the simplest comforts are the ones nature has already given us. If you've ever seen an elephant up close, you might notice that its skin looks like cracked earth, a pattern of fine lines and deep grooves running across its massive body. Every crease seems to tell a story, like the rings inside a tree or the folds of an old map. To some, those wrinkles might look like age, but to nature, they are brilliance. Each tiny crack has a purpose. Scientists studying elephant skin discovered that those intricate networks of ridges aren't just decoration, they're a cooling system. The cracks trap water and mud after bathing, holding it close to the surface long after the rest of the herd has dried. As the moisture slowly evaporates, it cools the elephant's body, helping it endure the heat of the day. It's a design no engineer could improve. The grooves multiply the skin's surface area, allowing more water to stay longer while preventing cracks from spreading too deep. When the sun blazes above in the savanna, the elephants don't need constant water. Their skin itself becomes a reservoir. You can imagine it after a mud bath, a matriarch standing still beneath a tree, her skin glistening with wet clay. The water seeps into the cracks, the sun warms her gently, and the mud dries in uneven, patchy patterns. Each flake that later falls away has done its job, cooling, protecting, healing. The skin beneath remains supple and alive. The beauty of it is that these cracks formed not by design but by time. As elephants grow and age, their skin thickens and folds. The constant shifting of their bodies, the dust, the sun, all carve those gentle lines into being. The result is a masterpiece of function, disguised as imperfection. In a way, their skin mirrors the landscape they walk, cracked, dry, enduring, yet full of hidden life. It reminds us that what looks weathered may actually be wise. When night comes and the air cools, the elephant's skin holds the memory of the day's touch, the mud, the wind, the shade, the care. Calves brush their trunks against the ridges of their mother's sides, tracing the tiny valleys with curiosity, learning through touch the feel of home. There's something deeply calming about it, knowing that even the smallest details of nature have purpose. The cracks, the wrinkles, the scars, all part of a system that keeps life going quietly and beautifully. So tonight, as you breathe and let your body rest, think of that vast, gentle skin under the moonlight, covered in tiny lines that hold the coolness of the day. In every wrinkle lies resilience, in every imperfection, wisdom, and in every creature, no matter how weathered, there's a design that keeps them safe, strong, and softly alive. When the day fades and the first stars begin to shimmer, the elephants rise. The heat that pressed down on them for hours finally loosens its hold, and the air grows gentle, carrying the faint scent of cool soil and distant rain. The world that was golden and glaring turns silver and soft. This is their favorite time, when the sun sleeps and the earth sighs in relief. Some elephants choose to walk only under this quiet sky. They are creatures of rhythm, attuned to the land and its breath. During the day, the savanna can feel like fire, dry wind, blinding light, no shade wide enough for their size. But at night, the world belongs to them. The stars watch over their path, and the moon paints their gray skin in soft white light. Their movement is almost soundless. Each step lands with a muted thud, absorbed by the dust. The herd stays close, mothers in front, calves in the center, the older ones guiding from behind. The smallest elephants sometimes stumble with sleepiness, pressing their heads against their mother's legs as they walk, but the herd's rhythm keeps them safe. Scientists say elephants often travel long distances at night, sometimes dozens of miles, guided by memory and the scent of water on the wind. Their eyesight, though dim to us, is gentle and sure beneath the stars. They don't rush, they don't falter, they just move, slow and steady, their bodies swaying with the rhythm of the night. If you could stand near them, you might hear the low rumble of their voices blending with the hum of crickets and the faraway call of owls. The sound would feel like a lullaby made of earth and sky, deep, steady, eternal. There's something deeply peaceful about their choice to travel by starlight. They don't fight the day's heat. They adapt to it. They wait. They rest. And when the world grows quiet, they begin again. It's a rhythm of patience, a reminder that sometimes the gentlest path forward is the one taken slowly under calm skies. By dawn they often arrive where they were meant to be, a river, a watering hole, a patch of green untouched by the sun. The calves drink sleepily, the elders rest their trunks on one another's backs, and the herd settles into stillness again as the first light returns. So tonight, as you drift toward your own rest, imagine them, silent travelers beneath 1,000 stars, walking through the silver glow of moonlit plains. Each step unhurried, each breath is peaceful. They remind us that progress doesn't need to be loud or fast. Sometimes it's as quiet as footsteps under starlight, carrying you exactly where you're meant to go. The savanna has no walls, no fences, no signs, yet elephants know who is safe and who is not. They move through landscapes where the voices of humans mix with the wind, calls, laughter, whispers, sometimes shouts. To us, these are just sounds. To them, they are stories, stories they remember. Scientists studying elephants in Kenya discovered something remarkable. Elephants can distinguish hundreds of human voices. Not only that, they can tell who among them is gentle and who may bring harm, all from the tone alone. In one experiment, researchers played recordings of different people speaking. When the elephants heard the voice of a known friend, someone who had worked kindly among them, they stayed calm, their ears relaxed, their breathing slow. But when they heard the voice of someone from a group known for hunting or threatening elephants, they instantly tightened their formation, shielding the calves, trunks raised in alert. They knew the difference. Even more incredible, elephants can recognize human languages. They respond differently to Maasai voices, who historically hunted them, than to Kamba voices, who rarely did. To an elephant, the melody of speech carries meaning, not just the words, but the emotion behind them. And they remember. Years can pass, and still an elephant may react warmly to a familiar, kind voice. They never forget affection, the gentle tone of a caretaker, the laugh of someone who once bathed them or fed them, the low murmur of trust. These memories live inside them, stitched deep into the map of their hearts. It's humbling, really, that creatures so large, with strength enough to uproot trees, listen so carefully to something as delicate as a voice. They don't judge by size or color or shape, only by sound, by intention, by the quiet energy of care. When elephants are spoken to gently, they often respond in kind. A low rumble, a slow blink, a stillness that feels like peace. It's their way of saying, "I hear you. I know you mean no harm." There's a lesson in that kindness isn't just felt, it's remembered. That every tone we choose sends ripples further than we realize. To an elephant, a kind voice is not forgotten. It becomes part of their trust in the world. If you close your eyes tonight, imagine one of them standing quietly under the stars, ears slightly fanned, listening to the distant echo of human speech. Somewhere, deep inside, they recognize the sound of kindness and turn their great heads toward it. Not with fear, but with familiarity. Because even across species, across silence and distance, love leaves a trace, and elephants, wise, patient listeners of the earth, never let it fade. If you look closely at an elephant, the first thing that might catch your eye is its tusks, long, curved, gleaming in the sun, like pieces of carved ivory shaped by patience itself. They're not decorations or weapons alone. They're living histories, growing quietly, year after year, through every joy and hardship of an elephant's life. An elephant's tusks are actually teeth, incisors that never stop growing. From the time they first appear, they record the story of the animal's world, much like the rings of a tree or the layers of the earth. Every season leaves a mark, every drought, every flood, every change in diet, all etched invisibly inside. Scientists who study tusks can read them like diaries, tracing a lifetime through the slow, graceful growth of bone and calcium. The longer the life, the longer the story. Some tusks stretch more than 10 feet, each inch representing years of movement across plains and forests, years of survival, of family, of memory. No two are ever the same. Their texture, their curve, their color, all shaped by the path that elephant walked. In the wild, elephants use their tusks for almost everything. To dig for water, to strip bark from trees, to move branches, to defend their young. You can often tell an elephant's dominant side by the wear on one tusk, just like a person's writing hand. The favored tusk, a little shorter, smoother, and more polished, becomes a testament to effort and experience, a quiet sign of a life well lived. But beyond their function, there's something deeply poetic about the way tusks endure. Long after an elephant is gone, the tusks remain, the only part that continues to hold the story of the one who carried them. Inside, in the faint patterns and growth lines, lie traces of water once drunk, grass once eaten, storms once faced, each one a memory turned to matter. And perhaps that's why elephants seem to carry themselves with such grace. They know, in some instinctive way, that their lives are written slowly, carved into time itself. They do not hurry. They live fully, moment by moment, letting each year leave its mark. If you could touch an elephant's tusk gently, you might feel that history, cool and solid, yet somehow alive. It's a reminder that everything lasting takes time, that growth is not loud, but steady. So as you rest tonight, imagine them walking under the fading sun, their tusks glowing pale against the gold of evening, curving like half-moons filled with stories, each line within them a whisper from the past, each mark a quiet echo of endurance. Because some lives aren't written in words, they're written in ivory, dust, and memory, one slow-growing story at a time. Somewhere in the golden light of afternoon, the elephants are at play. The heat has softened. The air hums with insects and a breeze moves gently through the grass. A young elephant stands apart from the herd, plucking tufts of green with her trunk. But instead of eating them, she lifts them high, pausing thoughtfully, and then drops them right on top of her own head. The grass sticks for a moment, a crown of wild leaves swaying between her ears. Another calf notices and does the same. Before long, 2 or 3 of them are playing together, decorating themselves with strands of grass and bits of flowers, as if dressing up for a celebration only they understand. Scientists who've studied wild elephants have seen this behavior many times. They pick up branches, flowers, even clumps of soil or vines, and place them on their backs, tusks, or heads. Some keep them there for minutes. Others toss them into the air like confetti. It's not about camouflage or food. Most believe it's play, a spark of self-expression, or maybe even pride. There's something profoundly sweet in that image. The world's largest land animals pausing in the middle of the wild just to adorn themselves. No purpose, no survival reason, just the quiet delight of interacting with their surroundings. A flower, to them, is not just part of the scenery. It's a moment's beauty, something worth carrying. Observers describe elephants sometimes wearing these adornments during social gatherings, when greeting friends or resting together. Some even used branches to gently touch or tease one another, the way humans might share laughter without words. It's playfulness layered with tenderness, a small reminder that joy exists in every species, if we take time to see it. If you could stand close in that moment, you'd see how delicate it all is. A massive elephant, heavy as a truck, moving with the grace of a dancer, placing a single yellow flower behind her ear. The contrast is breathtaking, strength and gentleness coexisting so naturally, so effortlessly. Maybe in their quiet way, they know something we forget, that beauty doesn't need a reason, and play isn't a waste of time. It's a way of being alive, of touching the world and feeling it smile back. As dusk falls, the flowers wilt and the grass slips away. But for a time, the elephants looked like walking gardens, calm, radiant, alive. Their rumbles fade into the warm air, soft and low, the sound of peace wearing petals. So tonight, as you drift toward sleep, picture them under a violet sky, great silhouettes crowned with flowers, walking slowly through the tall grass. In a world that often hurries, they remind us to pause, to play, and to decorate life simply because it's beautiful. Across the vast plains, sound moves differently than it does for us. It doesn't just echo. It travels through the air, through the ground, through time itself. And among those sounds, deep and low and almost beyond hearing, are the voices of elephants calling to one another by name. Scientists studying wild elephants have discovered something extraordinary. Elephants use unique rumbles for each other, specific, personalized sounds that function much like human names. When one elephant calls, the other answers, even if they're miles apart. These calls are not random. Mothers develop special rumbles for their calves, using a particular pattern of tone and vibration. As the calves grow, they learn to recognize not only their own name, but the voices of their entire family. When a mother calls across the savannah, her calf can pick her voice out instantly from dozens of others, a beacon of love carried on the wind. Each rumble is like a fingerprint, familiar, emotional, full of meaning. Elephants use them to greet one another, to reunite after separation, to soothe, or simply to say, "I'm here." The frequency is so low that we can't hear most of it, but if you could feel the vibrations beneath your feet, you'd know that entire conversations are happening just beyond our hearing. Researchers have played recordings of individual elephant calls to herds. When a specific elephant's name is played, only that elephant responds, lifting her head, rumbling back softly, sometimes even walking toward the sound. It's recognition, clear and joyful. There's something deeply touching in that. To be known, not just seen, to have a sound that belongs only to you is one of life's quiet miracles. Elephants, with their vast memories and tender hearts, live in a world where connection is constant. Even when separated by distance, they remain tied by invisible strings of sound. Imagine that scene at twilight, the herd scattered across the open land, the air cooling, the sky deepening into indigo. One elephant rumbles low, her call rolling like thunder through the ground. A few moments later, an answering vibration returns, faint but unmistakable. A name spoken, a name answered. Reunion in motion. It's language without words, emotion without explanation, communication woven from memory, care, and belonging. If you close your eyes tonight, think of that, the soundless hum beneath the earth, the invisible network of love keeping a family connected. Each elephant carries in its heart the voices of others, remembered and cherished. They remind us that what truly matters is not how loudly we speak, but how deeply we are heard. In the quiet, rumbling world of elephants, every soul has a name worth calling. The savannah is a land of sound, birds calling, insects humming, wind moving through the grass. But sometimes even that symphony pauses, and in those rare, sacred moments, the elephants stand completely still. No footsteps, no trumpets, no rumbling conversations, just silence. It's not sleep, and it's not alertness. It's something quieter, a kind of collective breath. The herd stands together in loose formation, ears soft, trunks hanging low, eyes half closed. For several minutes they don't move at all. The calves lean against their mothers, the older ones sway slightly, as if listening to something only they can hear. Scientists who've witnessed this say it's one of the most moving sights in nature. No one fully understands what they're doing, but it seems to follow movements of emotion, after greeting old companions, after the death of a loved one, or after reaching a long-sought watering hole. It's as though they pause not to rest, but to feel. The silence between them is not empty. It's full of trust, of recognition, of shared being. Each elephant knows the others are there, and that's enough. There's no need for noise or motion. Presence itself becomes the language. Some researchers call it social stillness, a behavior rare among animals. It's the kind of peace that comes only when a group feels completely safe. Even predators watching from afar seem to sense that this is not a moment to disturb. The air grows thick, almost reverent, as if the whole landscape is holding its breath alongside them. In that stillness, time seems to widen. You could stand nearby and almost forget where one elephant ends and another begins. The herd becomes a single, breathing shape, a quiet monument to patience and connection. Then, after a while, the matriarch might lift her trunk slightly. The spell breaks gently. A low rumble passes from one to another, not loud, but grounding, like a sigh after deep thought. The herd begins to move again, slowly and calmly, as if the world itself has resumed its rhythm. There's something profoundly human in that pause. In our busy lives, we often fill every silence with words or noise, forgetting that sometimes presence alone is enough. Elephants seem to know better. They teach by example that love doesn't always need movement, that peace is sometimes just standing together and breathing the same air. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine them. A circle of giants under a quiet sky, not speaking, not walking, simply being. Their shadows merge with the earth, their hearts beat in unison, and for a few perfect moments the whole world stands still, because sometimes silence is the purest form of understanding. When the sun is high and the land breathes heat, the herd gathers at the water's edge. The air shimmers, cicadas hum, and the surface of the pool glows like glass. One by one the elephants step forward, their reflections trembling softly in the ripples. There's no rush, no chaos, no splashing, just stillness and grace. An elephant lowers her trunk into the water, the tip barely disturbing the surface. With the quiet inhale, she draws water upward, a smooth, practiced motion. Her trunk swells slightly as it fills, holding several liters at once. Then, with a patient curl, she lifts it toward her mouth and pours. Not a drop is wasted, not a sound is harsh. The water flows like liquid silver down her lips, the motion so measured it almost feels ceremonial. Elephants never gulp. They drink slowly, carefully, repeating this motion over and over, dip, curl, lift, pour, as if honoring the water itself. The youngest calves, still learning, mimic their mothers clumsily, splashing and sputtering before finding their rhythm. The older elephants watch fondly, sometimes using their trunks to guide the little ones, teaching through touch. Scientists have observed how remarkable this process is. An elephant's trunk can suck up about 10 liters of water in a single breath, yet it's delicate enough to pick up a single grain of rice. Each sip requires control, strength, and focus, the perfect balance of power and precision. But beyond the science, there's a kind of peace in how they do it. They don't compete. They don't hurry. They simply stand together, taking turns, the sound of their drinking soft and steady, a rhythm like slow rain on earth. Between sips, some pause to spray their backs, cooling their skin, while others grumble gently, sharing the moment. To watch them drink is to witness mindfulness in motion, each act deliberate, unhurried, grateful. They seem to understand that water is sacred, that in every drop lies the memory of rain, the promise of life, the calm of the world itself. When they've had their fill, they don't linger out of greed. They step back, leaving room for others, for birds and antelope and all the small lives that share the same need. Even thirst for them is communal. As the herd moves away, their wet trunks glisten in the sun, trailing droplets that sparkle briefly before sinking into the dust. So tonight, as you take your own quiet breath, imagine them, standing by the still pool, drinking slowly under the wide sky. No rush, no noise, just presence. Because in a world that often gulps without tasting, elephants remind us of the beauty of a single mindful sip and the peace that comes when we drink life slowly. The sun hangs low over the plains, the air warm and golden. In the distance, a herd of elephants begins to move, slow, deliberate, and together. Dust rises around their feet like a soft veil, and from above it looks like a single flowing shape crossing the earth. But within that great shape, every step follows a quiet rule. No one moves faster than the smallest among them. At the heart of the herd walks a calf, still learning its balance, its tiny legs working hard to keep up. Every few steps it pauses, to rest, to explore, to catch its breath. And when it does, the whole herd slows too. The mothers glance back, the older sisters hum softly, and the line of giants adjusts without a sound. There's no frustration, no hurry, just understanding. Scientists who've studied elephant families describe this as one of their most beautiful instincts. The herd's movement is guided not by the strongest, but by the youngest. It's an unspoken law of empathy, a rhythm of care that ensures no life is left behind. The matriarch leads, but always with one ear tuned to the small footsteps behind her. Sometimes the path is long, across dry valleys, through rivers, over hills. When the calf grows tired, an aunt may nudge it gently from behind, while the mother circles closer to shade it from the sun. If it stumbles, trunks reach out instantly, steadying it with tender precision. The herd forms a living circle of protection, reshaping itself with every moment's need. The older elephants seem to know that the journey is not just about reaching a place, it's about reaching together. The youngest one sets the pace, but in doing so, it also sets the tone: patience, unity, and gentleness. You can almost imagine the sound, the slow thump of their feet, the low rumbles passing softly through the ground, the breathing of many bodies moving as one. Even when night falls and the stars rise, that rhythm continues, steady, kind, unbroken. It's easy to see why elephants are often called the guardians of empathy. They live by wisdom that says strength is not speed, but care. The slowest step matters as much as the fastest. The smallest voice is never ignored. As you drift toward sleep tonight, think of them, a herd of gentle giants walking beneath a pink sky, their pace set by the tiniest among them, each step deliberate, each pause accepted, the path unfolding only when all are ready. Because in the world of elephants, progress is never measured by how fast you go, but who you walk beside, and the kindness you carry along the way. The sun has slipped into its slow descent, painting the sky in gold and pale rose. The air hums with heat, but the elephants have found their refuge, a shallow pool that gleams softly in the evening light. One by one they step in. The water ripples around their ankles, then rises to their knees, then their bellies. The surface stirs, catching light like liquid glass. Soon the herd stands still, a silent congregation of giants bathed in quiet relief. They don't rush, they don't splash or drink right away. They just stand. The calves press close to their mothers, their trunks tracing circles in the water. The older elephants close their eyes, tails swaying slowly, the day's heat fading into a gentle, cool embrace. For elephants, this isn't just a pause, it's a ritual of calm. Their enormous bodies, heavy with strength and memory, find lightness in water. The buoyancy eases the strain on their legs and joints, the ripples soothe their skin, and the temperature cools their thick hide. Scientists have often observed them lingering like this for hours, not feeding, not moving, simply enjoying. If you listen closely, you might hear the faintest sounds, soft rumbles vibrating through the air, water lapping against skin, the quiet splash of a trunk stirring the surface now and then. It's not play this time, it's peace, a moment of shared contentment that belongs only to them and the fading day. Sometimes, when the air cools further, the matriarch slowly steps out, droplets cascading down her sides. The others follow reluctantly, the calves looking back toward the water as if wishing for a little longer. But often before leaving, one or two elephants will reach their trunks down and stir the surface again, as if saying thank you. There's a kind of wisdom in the way they rest. They know when to move, when to stop, and when to simply exist. To stand in comfort without chasing anything, not food, not shade, not distance, just presence. If you could stand beside them, you'd feel it too. The warmth fading from the air, the cool ripples brushing against your legs, the soft hum of life slowing into balance. The herd doesn't need to speak. The silence says everything. We are here. We are safe. We are enough. So as you drift into sleep tonight, imagine them in that still water, reflections shimmering, eyes half closed, the sky above them turning violet. In a world that never stops, they found the art of stopping well. And maybe that's their greatest lesson, that peace doesn't always come from motion. Sometimes it comes from standing quietly in life's cool waters and letting the world hold you for a while. The savannah glows in the soft light of early evening. The wind drifts lazily through the grass, carrying with it the scent of rain far away. The herd has finished feeding for the day, and the air feels different now, slower, quieter, as if the world itself is exhaling. Amid the calm, one elephant stands perfectly still. Her eyes flutter half closed, lashes catching the golden light. Her body begins to sway, not in restlessness, but in rhythm, forward and back, side to side, slow, gentle, peaceful. It's a motion you might miss if you're not watching carefully. A slow, mindful rocking that looks almost like meditation. The air hums softly around her. She breathes deeply, trunk hanging loose, tail flicking now and then in lazy time. There's no tension in her muscles, no urgency in her movement, just ease, the kind that comes when an animal knows it's safe. Scientists and caretakers have seen this behavior in both wild and rescued elephants. When they feel comfortable, when their families are near, when the world around them feels calm, they sway. It's the body's quiet way of releasing weight, of finding balance between stillness and motion. Some say it helps them stay aware of the earth beneath their feet. Others think it's simply joy turned to rhythm, a living heartbeat set to the song of safety. Calves often do it too, mimicking their mothers, their tiny bodies swaying like saplings beside great trees. The older elephants rumble softly in response, a sound that passes through the air like a hum of approval. The entire herd settles into a gentle rhythm together, connected not by noise or command, but by peace. To see it is to understand what safety really looks like. Not stillness without movement, but movement without fear. The sway becomes a kind of meditation, a conversation between body and soul that says, I am home, I am safe, I am allowed to rest. If you could stand beside them in that golden light, you might feel it too. The ground steady beneath your feet, the air warm and forgiving, the world holding its breath in perfect harmony. Each sway would feel like the tide, each breath like the earth's itself. And as the sky darkens, the elephants keep swaying softly, eyes closing fully now. Around them, the savanna quiets until all that remains is the sound of wind and the slow, steady hush of their breath. So tonight, as you drift toward your own rest, imagine that gentle motion, the slow rocking of peace, the trust of a creature so sure of safety that it dares to close its eyes in the open. Because sometimes peace isn't the absence of movement. It's the presence of calm so deep, your body begins to dance with it. The air is still at dawn. The world quiet except for the low hum of wind moving across the plain. Then, far in the distance, a single trumpet cuts through the silence, bright, wild, unmistakable. It's not an alarm, it's a joy. Somewhere out there, a reunion has begun. Elephants are creatures of family and memory. When they're separated by migration, drought, or danger, they remember. They wait. Their hearts seem to hold the shape of one another. So when the moment of reunion finally comes, it's not subtle. It's a celebration. Observers have seen it countless times, a herd spotting familiar shapes on the horizon after days apart. At first, they pause, still and silent, as if not daring to believe. Then, all at once, they charge forward, trunks high, ears spread wide, trumpets bursting through the air like laughter. The sound rolls across the landscape, echoing through valleys and over trees, a chorus of joy that could make even the sky feel alive. When they meet, there's touching, so much touching. Trunks wrap around faces, necks, and tusks. Calves squeal and tumble between legs. Adults rumble in deep harmonic tones that vibrate through the earth. Its affection is made visible, audible, and larger than life. Scientists who've studied these greetings describe them as emotional events, not instinct, but recognition. Elephants can remember individuals even after years of separation. Mothers know their grown calves by scent and sound. Old friends, reunited after decades, approach each other with gentleness and unmistakable joy. One recorded reunion between two females who hadn't met in 12 years showed both immediately trumpeting, flapping their ears and circling each other for nearly 20 minutes, touching, rumbling, and never moving apart. That kind of memory, that kind of love, doesn't fade. It's impossible to watch without feeling something stir inside you. The realization that connection, once made, leaves an imprint deeper than time or distance can erase. The sound of their reunion fills the air, layered, resonant, and alive. Then gradually it quiets. The elephants fall into a kind of peace, standing close, trunks still brushing together as if afraid to let go again. Their rumbles soften into a shared hum, the sound of home restored. If you close your eyes tonight, you might hear it, not the loud trumpets, but the feeling beneath them. Joy meeting memory, love meeting patience, the sound of reunion that travels farther than sight can reach. Because elephants remind us that no distance is too great for love that remembers. When hearts truly recognize each other, even the valleys echo back. and in that deep, joyful sound, the whole world feels a little less lonely. The sun at noon in the savannah is not kind. It beats down in heavy sheets of heat, the air shimmering above the pale grass. Most animals retreat, searching for any shadow they can find. But the elephants know exactly where to go. Ahead, the matriarch leads, her steps unhurried, her head high. She has walked this land for decades. She knows every tree, every bend of earth, every hollow that holds shade when the sun burns brightest. Behind her, the calves follow, their small ears flapping in the heat, their trunks swinging loosely as they trudge on. When they reach a stand of acacia trees, the matriarch pauses, lifts her trunk, and rumbles softly, a signal. The herd begins to spread out beneath the canopy, choosing their places carefully. The youngest, still learning, wandered into patches of light. Patiently, the adults guide them back with gentle nudges of their trunks, positioning them where the shade is thickest. It's a quiet lesson, taught not in words, but in presence. The older elephants show by example how to angle your body to the sun, where the wind moves through the branches, where the earth is coolest beneath your feet. Calves watch and mimic, learning the invisible map of comfort, one only the wise can teach. Scientists who observe elephant behavior often note how knowledge passes down through generations, not just about food and water, but about safety, comfort, and rest. Shade in the life of an elephant is not a luxury, it's survival, a soft wisdom carried in memory and shared through care. As the herd settles, time slows. The elephants grow still, their massive forms blending with the trees. Some close their eyes and sway gently. Others brush against the bark, leaving faint marks that tell future generations we were here. The calves lie down in the filtered light, dust motes drifting like golden snow through the air. Every so often, one of the mothers will shift, moving her body to widen the patch of shadow for her calf. The gesture is small, but full of meaning, protection wrapped in simplicity. In the wild, love doesn't need to be spoken. It's shown through the way space is shared, through the quiet teaching of where comfort lives. As the afternoon wears on, the light softens. The elephants begin to awake from their rest, stretching, rumbling softly to one another. The calves rise, now understanding a little more, where to stand, where to breathe, where peace waits. So as you drift into your own shade tonight, think of them, great gray shapes under trees, passing down the art of resting well. They remind us that wisdom isn't only about survival. It's about knowing how to find coolness in a hot world and sharing that shade with those who follow. The savannah is waking, pale light spreading over the grass, birds calling softly in the distance. Near the center of a small herd, a newborn calf takes its first wobbly steps. Its ears flap like oversized fans. Its legs move with uncertain rhythm, and hanging in front of its tiny face is its brand new trunk, long, flexible, and completely confusing. For the first few weeks of life, baby elephants are adorably clumsy. Their trunks, though perfectly formed, are far too complicated for them to control right away. With over 40,000 muscles, the trunk is a tool of incredible precision. But to a newborn, it's like trying to move a hose with a mind of its own. You can almost see the frustration and curiosity mingling in their bright eyes. They try to lift their trunks to explore, but it flops down again. They take a step forward and accidentally step right on it. Sometimes they sneeze into it and jump in surprise, unsure of where the sound came from. Other times, they swing it too hard and bump themselves in the face. It's an innocent comedy under the sun. Their mothers and aunts watch patiently, their calm presence radiating warmth. When a calf stumbles, a trunk reaches down immediately to steady it. When it falls, the herd gathers around, rumbling softly, offering gentle nudges of encouragement. No scolding, no worry, just patience, as though they know every little elephant must learn to balance one wobbly step at a time. Within a few weeks, the calf begins to master its unruly trunk. It starts to pick up leaves, spray dust, or play with water. Small acts of triumph that feel monumental in the life of a young elephant. Its clumsy flops turn to graceful waves, its confusion into curiosity. The herd celebrates in their quiet way, low hums of approval, soft touches, eyes full of pride. Watching them, it's hard not to smile. Even these giants, symbols of strength and wisdom, begin their journey in stumbling innocence. Their first lessons aren't about power, but about patience, learning, falling, trying again. If you could stand nearby on that golden morning, you'd hear the gentle rustle of grass, the calves' tiny squeaks of surprise, and the soft rumbles of family love surrounding it like a lullaby. The air would feel light, forgiving, as if the world itself were smiling at this small, clumsy miracle, learning how to belong. So as you rest tonight, think of that little elephant, trunk swinging, legs wobbling, heart full of wonder. Even the surest steps begin with a stumble, and even the wisest beings start with a bit of confusion. Because life's most beautiful strength doesn't come from being steady. It comes from the courage to fall and the patience to rise again. There's a special kind of hush that falls over the African plains when the marula trees are in fruit. The air turns fragrant, warm and honey-sweet, carrying a scent that drifts for miles. And somewhere, far away, an elephant lifts its trunk, catching that familiar perfume. The journey begins. Marula season is a time of quiet celebration for elephants. The round, golden fruits are their favorite, soft, juicy, and full of natural sweetness. When herds find a marula grove, they slow their pace. There's no rush, no competition, just the calm certainty that something good is waiting beneath the trees. You might think such huge animals would crash through the branches, but they don't. Elephants are remarkably gentle harvesters. They stand beside the trees and reach up with their trunks, curling them around the branches to give them a patient shake. Sometimes it takes only one or two, a low rustle, a soft thump, and the fruits begin to fall like golden rain. The herd gathers around quietly. Calves hurry forward, trunks exploring the ground, learning which fruits are ripe by smell and touch. The adults pick them up delicately, one by one, savoring each bite. The sound of their eating is rhythmic, a slow crunch, a deep breath, a low rumble of satisfaction that feels like laughter held in the chest. Scientists say elephants can smell marula fruit from up to 10 kilometers away. Their sense of scent guides them across vast distances, through wind and dust, straight to the promise of sweetness. Some herds return to the same trees every year, remembering each one as if it were an old friend. And when the fruits are gone, they linger a little longer under the shade, resting, rubbing their sides against the trunks, letting the moment stretch before moving on. There's no hurry in their joy. It's quiet, grounded, and grateful. To see them like this is to witness happiness in its purest form, not excitement, but contentment, the kind of happiness that comes from the earth itself. If you stood nearby, you'd hear the soft sound of marulas falling, the hum of warm wind, the faint low rumble of elephants talking to each other, as if sharing the sweetness, not just of fruit, but of togetherness. By sunset, the grove falls silent again. The grass scattered with footprints and empty shells, the air still smells faintly of marulas, a reminder of the gentle feast that passed through. So as you rest tonight, picture them beneath those golden trees, great gray shapes in the fading light, shaking branches softly to make the world give just one more gift. Because even the mighty know how to be gentle with what they love. And in their patience, they show us that joy doesn't need to be taken. Sometimes it's simply shaken free. The dry season comes quietly but powerfully. The rivers that once roared now sleep under cracked earth, and the air tastes of dust and sun. Most animals wander restlessly, searching for water. But the elephants, they know what to do. Led by the matriarch, the herd walks to an old riverbed where water once flowed. The ground looks barren, pale, and hopeless, yet the matriarch pauses, lifts her trunk, and breathes deeply. Beneath the surface, she can smell it, the faint, living scent of hidden water. With slow, steady motion, she presses her trunk into the sand, testing. Then, using her tusks and feet, she begins to dig. The sound is soft, sand shifting, dust rising, patience at work. Other animals join her, taking turns loosening the earth, deepening the hollow. It's not frantic digging, it's careful, deliberate, guided by instinct and experience passed down through generations. The matriarch knows how far to go, where the river still whispers below. After a while, a dark patch of damp soil appears. The herd pauses. Then, drop by drop, the water begins to seep upward, cool and clear. The elephants wait. They don't rush in. They know the sand must settle, that clean water comes to those who wait. When the surface clears, the matriarch lowers her trunk, drawing a slow, graceful sip. The others follow, mothers, calves, aunts, each taking turns. The smallest ones watch, learning not just how to drink, but how to create water from earth itself. And when they've finished, they don't destroy the well. They step aside, leaving the hollow open. Soon other creatures arrive, antelope, birds, even small foxes, all drinking from the gift the elephants left behind. In the dry season, these wells can mean survival for an entire ecosystem. Scientists call elephants ecosystem engineers, but perhaps caretakers fits better. Every dig, every drop becomes a quiet act of generosity, wisdom shared without words. To stand there under that wide sky would feel like witnessing ancient knowledge made visible. The herd moves slowly, peacefully, their footprints pressing gently into the riverbed. Behind them, the earth they touched begins to breathe again. There's a lesson in that, in patience, in persistence, in kindness that leaves the world better for others. Elephants remind us that true intelligence isn't just knowing how to survive, it's knowing how to help life continue even when times are hard. So as you rest tonight, think of them under the warm dusk light, great gray figures standing over shallow wells, the water shimmering softly between them. In every motion, calm. In every act, care. Because some of the world's greatest wisdom isn't loud or complicated. It's simply knowing how to find water where none can be seen, and sharing it quietly with those who thirst beside you. The rain has passed. The clouds drift apart, leaving behind a washed silver sky. The air is still warm, but softer now, heavy with the scent that comes only after rain touches dust. Across the plain, the elephants emerge from their shelter beneath the trees. The ground glistens in patches, small puddles catching pieces of the fading light. The herd doesn't rush forward. They move slowly, their feet sinking gently into the damp soil. The matriarch stops first, lifting her trunk, tasting the air. Then she lowers it, pressing it lightly to the ground, breathing in deeply. Around her the others follow, mothers, calves, the old and the young, all lowering their trunks to the earth, inhaling that rich, comforting scent. It's the smell of life, petrichor, as scientists call it, a fragrance born from tiny molecules released when rain touches dry soil. But to the elephants, it's more than chemistry. It's memory, renewal, and belonging. For months the land may have been dry, the grass brittle, the rivers reduced to dust. But rain changes everything. It brings sound, smell, and softness back to the world. The elephants seem to feel it deeply. Some close their eyes as they breathe in, their bodies swaying gently as though savoring the peace that follows the storm. Observers have described this as almost meditative. Elephants standing silently, trunks tracing small circles on the ground, rumbling softly in low, contented tones. They don't drink immediately. They don't move on. They linger. It's as if they are thanking the earth for breathing again. The calves imitate them, pressing their short trunks into the soil, then lifting them to smell. The air around them feels alive, full of moisture and renewal, of grass awakening, of insects stirring beneath the surface. The entire landscape hums quietly, and the elephants stand at its center, listening, breathing, existing. If you could stand there beside them, you might notice how calm it feels, how the air seems to vibrate gently with gratitude. Each breath they take connects them to the rhythm of the world, the water above, the soil below, the endless cycle of giving and receiving. Eventually, the matriarch lifts her head and rumbles softly, the signal to move on. The herd begins to walk again, leaving round footprints in the damp earth. But for a few precious moments they had stopped, not to feed or fight or flee, but simply to breathe. So as you rest tonight, imagine them standing under a soft, rain-washed sky, great gray shapes surrounded by the scent of new beginnings, their trunks resting on the soil, their eyes half closed, their hearts full of quiet joy. Because sometimes peace is as simple as the smell of wet earth, a reminder that even after the hardest seasons, the world always finds a way to breathe again. The air shimmers with heat as the herd approaches the river. For miles, the earth has been dry and cracked, the sun painting everything in dust and gold. But now, water. A long, winding stretch of blue, glinting softly under the afternoon light. The elephants stop at the edge, their reflections rippling beneath them. There's no hesitation. The matriarch steps forward first, her massive foot sinking into the mud. The calves trumpet softly, half excitement, half curiosity. Soon the herd follows, wading in deeper, the water rising past their knees, then their shoulders, until the surface nearly touches their backs. Elephants are natural swimmers, something surprising to many who see only their size. Beneath that bulk lies grace. Their legs move in slow, even strokes, and when the water grows deep, they float. Their great bodies become light, their steps turn to glide. The surface ripples gently as they move in unison, like gray islands drifting across the current. Then comes the most wonderful sight, their trunks lifted high like periscopes above the surface. Each breath steady and calm, each movement deliberate. The water covers their faces, their ears, even their eyes, but through those curved snorkels they continue onward, breathing deeply and unhurriedly. Calves stay close to their mothers, sometimes climbing onto their backs when the current grows strong. The adults form a circle around them, a wall of moving safety. You can almost feel the care in every motion, how even in the middle of a river, they protect one another. Scientists have seen elephants swim for hours, crossing wide rivers during migration, guided by memory and instinct. They never seem fearful. They trust the water. They let it hold them. From the shore, it's a mesmerizing scene. Trunks rising and falling, a soft spray of water, and the occasional low rumble echoing across the river. The sound blends with the gentle slap of waves against their sides, creating a rhythm as soothing as a heartbeat. When they reach the far bank, the herd climbs out one by one, water cascading down their backs like silver threads. The calves shake themselves off, flopping their ears, the adults rumbling in soft triumph. They stand together in the fading light, droplets glistening like stars on their skin. It's a quiet kind of freedom, moving through something vast and unknown, yet trusting every breath. So tonight, as you lie still, imagine them gliding through a calm, endless river, their trunks rising above the water like living snorkels, steady and sure, the sound of their breath blending with the current, the warmth of the sun on their wet skin, the peace of simply being carried. Because even the mightiest among us sometimes float, moving forward not by force, but by trust in the gentle flow of the world. The savannah stretches quiet and golden beneath the morning sun. To the human eye, it all looks the same: dry grass, scattered trees, endless dust. But to an elephant, the air is full of invisible stories. She lifts her trunk high, pausing mid-step. The tip of it moves slowly, curling and uncurling like a hand feeling for something in the dark. The faintest breeze carries a message: water somewhere ahead, maybe fruit, maybe rain. Her senses catch it, hold it, read it, and with that she knows where to go. An elephant's trunk is a miracle of design, part nose, part hand, part heart. Inside are millions of scent receptors, more than any known land animal, even the most skilled sniffer dog. With it, they can distinguish thousands of smells, layered and complex: the musk of a herd far away, the sweetness of ripened marula fruit, the metallic hint of distant rain. Scientists studying their sense of smell have watched elephants locate food hidden underground, fruit buried under several inches of soil, roots tucked beneath dry sand. They don't see it, they smell it. Their trunks touch the earth, breathing in every grain, sorting through memories and instincts until they find exactly what they seek. It's more than survival. It's connection to the land, the air, the unseen world that hums quietly around them. Even when miles apart, elephants can identify family members by scent alone, carried on wind and time. Their trunks reach out not just to objects, but to stories, to signals of belonging. To watch them smell the air is to watch intelligence in motion. There's focus, patience, and a kind of reverence, a trust that the world will reveal itself if you listen softly enough. You can almost imagine their thoughts as they inhale. Who has passed here? What is growing there? What has changed since we last walked this path? Sometimes, after a long day's journey, elephants stop and lift their trunks high again, not searching, just feeling. The wind brushes past, and they breathe it in like memory. The scent of dust, of leaves, of faraway rivers, each note a reminder of the vast living web they belong to. If you could stand near them, you'd see the world differently too. You'd notice the quiet signals hidden in the air, the life beneath the ground, the stories carried by wind. So tonight, as you breathe slowly and deeply, imagine doing what the elephants do, sensing the world without hurry, without noise, letting every breath connect you to something unseen but real. Because elephants remind us that there's more to the world than what we see. There's the invisible, gentle map of scent and memory that guides every living thing home.
The morning is warm, the air soft with dust and sunlight. The herd stands beneath a broad acacia tree, resting after a slow walk. The calves huddle near their mothers, flicking their ears and waving their tiny trunks. It's calm, peaceful, until, from somewhere in the middle of the group, comes a sudden sound. Achoo! A loud, unmistakable elephant sneeze, a blast of air and dust that startles a few birds nearby. The nearest elephants pause, blink, and rumble softly. Then, almost like a ripple through water, another sneeze follows, and then another. Within seconds, the quiet savanna is filled with a chorus of sneezes, deep, echoing, and oddly joyful. Scientists observing this have seen it again and again. When one elephant sneezes, others often imitate it, especially calves. They seem to treat it as both curiosity and game, testing the sound, the motion, the reaction it creates. It's not just mimicry, it's a connection, a kind of call and response that says, "I heard you, I'm here too." For young elephants, imitation is a way of learning how to behave, how to bond, how to be part of the herd. When one calf sneezes loudly and another answers, the air fills with playful rumbles, almost like laughter. The mothers watch calmly, their eyes half closed, their trunks swaying as if smiling at the commotion. Sometimes a single sneeze can change the whole mood of the herd. A moment ago they were silent and still. Now they're buzzing with quiet energy, calves nudging one another, flapping their ears, repeating the sound just to see it echoed again. It's simple, but it's joy, pure and honest. Even adults do it occasionally, responding to a sneeze with a low rumble or a sudden puff through their trunks, like an inside joke among friends. In the vastness of the wild, these small exchanges weave them closer together, a reminder that even giants have their moments of play. To watch them is to be reminded how universal joy can be, how something as small as a sneeze can ripple through a group like laughter through a room. The rhythm of it, spontaneous, shared, harmless, becomes a kind of living melody. If you could stand nearby, you'd feel the air vibrate softly with their sound. A sneeze, then a rumble, and then the gentle hush that follows. Peace returning, but brighter somehow. The herd relaxes again, their trunks lowering, the calves settling by their mothers' sides, the play fading into warmth and stillness. So as you rest tonight, think of that. A herd of elephants under a golden sky, sharing a moment of simple, contagious laughter carried on the wind. Because even the mightiest hearts find joy in the smallest echoes, a sneeze or a smile, or the soft reminder that we're never alone in our laughter. The bond between elephants and humans has not always been gentle, yet where kindness has touched them, they never forget. In sanctuaries and wild reserves around the world, stories repeat themselves like soft echoes. An elephant once rescued, once comforted, once healed, remembering. Sometimes years later, a familiar voice will call their name, and they turn, eyes bright with recognition. A low rumble rises from their chest, a sound filled with warmth, with memory, with something we might even call love.
Scientists have long known that elephants possess astonishing memory. They can recall distant water holes, migration paths, and the exact scent of long-ago rains. But what's even more remarkable is how they remember people, especially those who showed them gentleness. There are countless accounts. An elephant greeting a caretaker she hadn't seen in 20 years, wrapping her trunk around his shoulders. Another approaching the sound of a familiar whistle after a decade in the wild. They don't just remember faces, they remember kindness. It's not simple recognition, but emotional memory, the ability to connect an act with a feeling. When a person has been gentle, when they have offered food, water, or care, that memory becomes part of the elephant's heart. And when they meet again, the emotion returns as if no time has passed. Observers describe these reunions as quiet and overwhelming. No roaring, no excitement, just closeness. The elephant often approaches slowly, touching the human's face or hand with the tip of its trunk, breathing softly, eyes half closed. It's the same gesture they use to greet family after separation. To them, love and familiarity transcend species. Perhaps what moves us most is that elephants seem to remember not only kindness, but the intention behind it. They sense when care is sincere, when gentleness is real. And even in the vast, unpredictable wild, those memories guide how they see the world, who they trust, where they rest, how they choose to live. It's said that when you show an elephant kindness, you are remembered forever. Somewhere, deep in their vast minds, your scent, your voice, your care become part of the landscape they carry within. If you close your eyes tonight, imagine one standing beneath a soft sky, the air quiet, the stars above faint and kind. In that silence, a human voice calls softly from years ago, and the elephant turns, remembering. A low, loving rumble rolls through the earth, the sound of gratitude that never faded. Because kindness, real kindness, is never lost. It lingers in memory, in scent, in sound. And in the great, steady heart of an elephant, it lives on like an echo of peace. The sun at midday hangs still and heavy, its light shimmering across the plains. The air hums with warmth, thick enough to slow even the busiest hearts. It's in this hour, when the world feels hushed and drowsy, that the elephants choose to rest. They gather beneath the largest trees they can find, sometimes in small groups, sometimes the whole herd together. The shade falls wide, dappling their skin with patterns of light and leaf. A few of the older elephants remain standing, shifting their weight from one leg to another. Others lower themselves carefully to the ground with deep, steady breaths. And then, stillness. The calves, always the first to grow sleepy, curl up near their mother's legs. One lies across another's belly. A mother rests her trunk protectively across her calf's back, swaying gently even in sleep. The older females stand like sentinels,
eyes half closed, their bodies forming a circle of quiet strength. In this circle, the world seems to pause. The breeze drifts through leaves, the air carries the faint smell of dust and sun-warmed grass. A soft rumble passes through one elephant, answered by another. Not a call, but a sigh. Their breathing sinks into a rhythm so slow it could lull the land itself to sleep. Observers have called these moments elephant siestas. In the wild, they usually happen during the hottest part of the afternoon, when activity fades and only the cicadas dare to sing. It's not deep sleep for all. Some keep watch while others dream, but it's peace, shared and unspoken. There's comfort in their closeness. Elephants often lean lightly against one another, shoulder to shoulder, their great bodies touching in quiet reassurance. No fear, no tension, just the calm of family, of trust so deep it allows stillness in the open. If you could sit nearby, you'd hear almost nothing, just the slow breath of giants, the whisper of leaves above, the soft scrape of trunks shifting in sleep. Every now and then a calf twitches or lets out a small snore, earning a tender nudge from its mother. Then all is calm again. Hours later, when the heat begins to fade and the shadows lengthen, the herd stirs. One elephant stretches, another rumbles awake, and soon the circle begins to move again. The calves rise clumsily, blinking in the soft gold light, the day renewed and quiet joy returning to their steps. So, as you drift into your own rest tonight, think of them, resting shoulder to shoulder beneath the trees, the air thick with peace, their breath steady, their hearts aligned. Because even the great and mighty know the value of stillness, the sacred, simple act of resting together under the sun, trusting that the world will wait while they dream.